always chasing the next best thing. Have you ever really wanted something? Maybe it was a new video game, a certain pair of shoes, or a brand new phone. You thought, if I just had that, I would be so happy. And then, you got it. For a little while, that feeling was amazing, right? You were excited. But after a week or a month, did that powerful feeling of happiness last? Or did it slowly start to fade, and soon enough, you were looking at the next thing you wanted? The next game, the next cool gadget, the next trend? This constant search for the next best thing is a powerful way society can quietly train us to be unhappy. It's like we're always running on a treadmill, trying to catch something that keeps moving just out of reach. We believe happiness lives in the future, in whatever we don't have yet. This idea is so common, it feels normal. But let's look closer. For thousands of years, wise thinkers have noticed this about people. Long ago, in different parts of the world, philosophers and spiritual leaders talked about how human beings are often unsatisfied. They saw that even kings with all the riches in the world could still feel a sense of wanting, a longing for something more. It's not a new problem, it's part of the human experience. But our modern world often makes it worse. It constantly shows us new things to want, new ideas of what perfect looks like, new upgrades, new versions. Think about your phone. When a new model comes out, ads tell you it's faster, better, has a cooler camera. They make your current phone feel old, even if it works perfectly fine. Your old phone, which once felt so amazing when you first got it, suddenly seems less shiny, less exciting. This isn't just about phones, though. It's about clothes, hobbies, even friendships. We're often shown what we don't have, instead of being encouraged to appreciate what we do. In psychology, there's an idea called the hedonic treadmill. Imagine a treadmill in a gym. You run and run, but you stay in the same place. The hedonic treadmill is like that for our happiness. We achieve a goal, we get something new, and our happiness might jump up for a moment. But then we quickly adapt to this new normal. What was once special becomes ordinary. Our minds then adjust, and we start looking for the next thing that will give us that happy feeling again. We're always trying to catch up to a feeling, but it keeps moving forward. It's like our brains are built to get used to good things quickly, so we never quite feel satisfied for very long. This endless chase means we often miss the good right in front of us. We spend so much energy looking forward, planning for the next purchase, or dreaming of the next big event, that we forget to truly live and enjoy the present. We might have good friends, a warm home, interesting hobbies, but if we're always focused on what's missing, or what's coming next, we lose sight of the small joys that are already here. So, maybe the secret isn't to run faster on the treadmill. Maybe it's about stepping off for a moment. Maybe it's about learning to appreciate the ground you're standing on, right now, with everything you already have. Because true happiness isn't always found in the future, in some far-off dream or a brand new item. Sometimes, it's found in simply being content with this very moment, and all the quiet gifts it already holds. The lie of the perfect picture. Have you ever scrolled through social media and seen pictures of people living what looks like the perfect life? Maybe they're on a beautiful beach, or they're laughing with friends, or they just got some amazing award. You see these photos, and sometimes, for a moment, you might feel a little jolt in your stomach. A feeling like, why isn't my life like that? Or, am I missing out on something? This feeling comes from what we call the lie of the perfect picture. It's not just about photos, but it's a huge part of it. The lie is that everyone else has a flawless, easy, happy life, while your own is full of struggles, bad days, or just plain boredom. Society, through many ways, shows us these perfect pictures all the time, and it makes us compare our normal, messy lives to someone else's absolute best moments. Think about it. When you see a picture, what are you really seeing? A single moment, frozen in time. And usually, that moment was carefully chosen. Maybe it was taken after 10 tries to get the right angle. Maybe the person in the photo just had a huge argument right before the picture was snapped, but they forced a smile for the camera. Maybe the perfect meal in the photo was actually cold and tasted terrible. What you're seeing is often a performance, not the whole truth. This isn't a new idea, even if it feels stronger now with phones and social media. For a long, long time, people have tried to show off their best side. Imagine a king from hundreds of years ago. When a painter came to make his portrait, do you think the king would show the artist his messy bedroom or his stressed-out face from a bad day? No way. He'd put on his fanciest clothes, sit up straight, and try to look powerful and wise. He wanted to present a perfect picture to the world, even if his kingdom faced problems or he felt sick. So, showing only the good stuff, the ideal version, is something humans have always done. But here's the difference today. Now, everyone is like a king with their own painter. That's your phone camera. And you're seeing thousands of perfect pictures every day, not just one royal portrait in a museum. This constant stream makes it hard to remember that what you're seeing isn't the full story. It's like watching only the trailer for a movie and thinking that's the whole film. The trailer has all the exciting parts, the explosions, the funniest jokes. It leaves out the slow bits, the confusing parts, the struggles. That's what many perfect pictures online are. Just the trailer of someone's life, not the full feature film. Our brains are naturally wired to compare things. It's how we learn. But when we compare our own complex real-life movie to someone else's highlight reel trailer, we set ourselves up for unhappiness. Our brain sees the shine and then tells us, "Hey, you don't have that. Something's wrong with you." This can lead to feelings of not being good enough or not having enough, even with so much to be grateful for. Here's the thing. No one, and I mean no one, has a perfect life. Not your favorite celebrity, not the most popular kid at school, not even that influencer with millions of followers. Everyone struggles. Everyone faces challenges. Everyone has days when they feel sad, or lonely, or just plain awkward. Those moments just don't make it into the perfect picture album. Because who wants to share a photo of themselves crying over a bad grade, or feeling left out, or having a messy hair day? Nobody usually shares those. So, here's a thought. When you see a perfect picture, remember it's only a tiny slice of someone's story. It's like one piece of a giant puzzle. It doesn't show you the whole picture, or all the other pieces, some of which might be jagged or faded. Understanding this lie can actually set you free. It means you don't have to chase an impossible standard. You can be kinder to yourself when your own life feels messy or imperfect. Real happiness isn't found in looking perfect for others. It's found in accepting yourself, flaws and all, and living your own authentic story. It's about finding joy in the real, imperfect moments of your own life, because those are the moments that truly belong to you. And that's a beautiful thing. Why likes don't make you happy? Have you ever wondered why that little heart or thumbs up icon on your screen feels so good to get? You post a picture, a video, a thought, and then you wait. When the likes start rolling in, there's this quick, warm feeling, like a little burst of sunshine. But then, what happens a few minutes later? That feeling often fades. And soon, you might find yourself checking again, wishing for more likes, feeling a little empty if they don't come. Why is it so hard for those fleeting likes to turn into real, lasting happiness? Here's the thing. Our brains are wired in a powerful way. When we get a like, our brain releases something called dopamine. Think of dopamine as a tiny chemical messenger that tells your brain, "Hey, that was good. Do it again." It's part of our brain's reward system. It's what makes us feel good when we eat tasty food, or when we achieve something, or even when we connect with others. For a long, long time, this system helped us survive. If you were part of an early human tribe, being accepted and liked by the group meant safety, food, and protection. Your brain would give you a little shot of dopamine for that acceptance, telling you to keep doing things that made the group like you. So, when you get a like on a social media post, it taps into that ancient part of your brain. It feels like acceptance, like being noticed, like being part of the tribe. And that feels really good for a moment. But here's the problem. It's a very quick, very shallow kind of good. It's like eating a big bag of candy. It tastes amazing while you're eating it, and you get a sugar rush. But then the candy is gone. The sugar rush crashes, and you're left feeling kind of empty, or even a little sick. You might even want more candy to get that feeling back. Likes are a bit like that candy. They give you a quick, sugary hit of dopamine, but they don't provide the deep nutrition your soul needs for real happiness. They are an external measure, something outside of you, that changes constantly. One day your post gets 100 likes, the next day it gets 10. Your mood goes up and down with those numbers. This can help you feel popular, but it doesn't really build up your inner strength or a steady sense of calm joy. Think about it this way. Real happiness often comes from things that take time and effort. It comes from truly connecting with a friend face to face, laughing until your stomach hurts. It comes from learning something new and challenging yourself, like finally understanding a tricky math problem or mastering a new skill in a sport. It comes from creating something, whether it's a drawing, a story, or a piece of music. It comes from helping someone else without expecting anything in return. These things build a kind of lasting warmth inside you, a deep satisfaction that doesn't disappear the moment your phone screen goes dark. Likes are not bad in themselves. They can be a fun way to share and see what your friends are up to. But here's what I found. If you depend on them for your happiness, you're always going to be chasing something that's just out of reach. True happiness isn't something you can collect in a number on a screen. It's built from the inside, from who you are, from what you do, and from the real connections you make. It's like building a strong, cozy house for your spirit, not just decorating the outside with shiny, temporary lights. Grades aren't everything, but we act like they are. Have you ever felt like your whole worth, everything you are, could be summed up by a letter or a number on a report card? Like an A means you're smart and valuable, and anything less means, well, something less? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? This idea that our progress, our intelligence, our very future hinges on these small symbols. And here's the thing. Society often pushes this idea on us, making us believe that grades are the ultimate measure of who we are. It's like we're trained to chase those top scores, not for the joy of learning, but for the approval, the rewards, the feeling of being good enough. But think about it. What are grades really? They are snapshots. They capture a moment in time, showing what you knew or could do on a specific test or assignment. They're a tool, meant to give feedback, to help you see where you might need to try a little harder. Yet, somewhere along the way, we started treating them like they were the finish line, not just a checkpoint. We began to act as if grades weren't just about what you learned, but about who you are. This intense focus can make us unhappy because it tells us that our value is conditional, that it depends on always performing perfectly. It ignores all the other amazing things that make us, us. Long ago, before schools as we know them existed, people learned in a very different way. Imagine ancient craftspeople teaching their apprentices. There were no letter grades for carving wood or weaving cloth. Success was measured by whether the chair held up or if the fabric was strong and beautiful. Learning was about mastering a skill, about growing through practice and effort, not about a number. The focus was on the process, on the journey of becoming skilled. There was less pressure to compare yourself to others with a single, simple score. The world was more interested in what you could do and who you were becoming, not just what you knew on a test. Here's an example. Think about a giant, beautiful forest. In that forest, there are tall oak trees, delicate wildflowers, sturdy bushes, and winding vines. Each one is different. Each one grows at its own speed, in its own way, needing different amounts of sunlight and water. Imagine trying to give them all the same growth grade based on how tall they are in one single week. It wouldn't make sense, would it? The wildflower might be perfectly healthy and vital, even if it's much shorter than the oak. It's thriving in its own way. Your mind works a lot like that forest. You might be amazing at solving complex problems, while your friend is a brilliant writer, and another friend has an incredible knack for understanding people's feelings. These are all different kinds of intelligence, different ways of growing. A single grade on a math test or an essay can't possibly capture the richness of your whole forest, your unique strengths, or how you truly learn and grow over time. So, what does this mean for us? It means we need to remember that grades are just one small piece of a much larger puzzle. They don't measure your kindness, your creativity, your courage, or your resilience. They don't measure how good you are at being a friend, or your passion for something that lights you up. Your true value isn't a number printed on a piece of paper. It's in the person you are, the effort you put in, the mistakes you learn from, and the unique ways you contribute to the world. It's in the curiosity that sparks new ideas within you, and the willingness to keep trying, even when things are tough. Focus on becoming a well-rounded, curious, and compassionate human being, and you'll find a deeper, truer kind of happiness that no grade can ever give or take away. Buying things won't fill the hole. Have you ever felt that strong urge for something new? Maybe a new video game, those cool sneakers everyone's talking about, or the latest phone? You imagine how great it will feel to finally get it. And, for a little while, it does feel good, right? A rush of excitement. But then, what happens? That super new feeling fades. And often, that deep feeling of wanting something, that little ache inside, it comes back. It's like you're still looking for something, even after you got what you thought you wanted. Here's the thing. Society often tries to tell us that happiness is something you can buy. They say if you just get this product, or that brand, or more stuff, you'll finally feel complete and happy. But it's a bit of a trick. That feeling of wanting, that hole we sometimes feel inside, it's rarely about needing more physical things. It's usually about something deeper. It could be loneliness, or feeling like you're not good enough, or maybe just feeling bored and wondering what your purpose is. When we buy things to fill these deeper feelings, it's like trying to fill an empty swimming pool with a teacup. You pour and pour, but the pool stays mostly empty. This idea isn't new. People have been thinking about this for a very long time. Thousands of years ago, wise thinkers in ancient Greece and parts of Asia talked about how true joy doesn't come from what you own. They believed it came from inside you, from how you live your life, how you treat others, and what you think about. They saw that chasing after more and more stuff was like running on a treadmill. You move a lot, you feel busy, but you don't really get anywhere. Back then, there weren't huge stores or constant ads, but humans still had that same deep need to feel content. And they learned that things didn't do the trick. Think about it like being thirsty. You've been playing outside, and you're super parched. You rush inside and grab a sugary soda. The first sip is amazing, right? It feels good and tastes great. You drink the whole can, but a few minutes later, you might notice you're still thirsty, maybe even more so. The soda gave you a quick sugar rush and a temporary feeling of fullness, but it didn't truly hydrate you. What you really needed was pure water to quench that deep thirst. The soda was just a distraction, a quick fix that didn't solve the real problem. In the same way, buying new things gives us a quick buzz, but it doesn't hydrate our true inner needs. It doesn't fill the deep thirst for meaning or connection. So, the next time that feeling of "I need that" pops up, pause for a moment. Ask yourself what you're truly hoping that new thing will give you. Is it real joy, or just a quick moment of excitement? The deep, lasting kinds of happiness usually come from different places. They come from spending time with people you care about, from learning something new, from being creative, from helping others, or from simply spending time outside in nature. These are the things that truly nourish our spirits, like clean water for a deep thirst. They're the things that slowly, truly fill that hole, not with more stuff, but with real connection and meaning. The pressure to look a certain way. Have you ever scrolled through social media or watched a movie and suddenly felt a strange tug inside? Maybe a little thought whispered, "I wish I looked like that," or "My hair isn't perfect," or "My skin isn't smooth enough." That feeling, that quiet wish to change something about yourself to fit an image, is part of a much larger, often hidden pressure. It's the pressure to look a certain way. Here's the thing. From the moment we are very young, society begins to show us what it considers beautiful or acceptable. It's not just about being clean or healthy. It's about a specific kind of appearance. Think about it. When you see ads for clothes or toys or even food, the people in them often share similar features. They might be very thin, or have perfect skin, or styled hair that never seems to move out of place. These images become like silent rules, telling us how we should look to be considered good enough, or popular, or even happy. This isn't a new idea, though. For hundreds of years, people have worried about how they look. If you looked at paintings from the 1600s, you'd see that back then, a fuller, rounder body was often seen as beautiful and healthy. It showed you had enough food and were well off. But then, as time went on, the idea of what was considered ideal changed. In the 1800s, a tiny waist was fashionable, even if it meant wearing uncomfortable corsets that made it hard to breathe. And in the early 1900s, a more boyish, flat shape became popular. What does this tell us? It tells us that beauty isn't a fixed thing, like gravity or the number 2. It's more like a fashion trend, something that shifts and changes based on what society values at that moment. So, here's what happened. Today, with the internet and social media, these ideas about how we should look are everywhere, all the time. Every photo filter, every magazine cover, every celebrity post can add to this pressure. It's like everyone is trying to fit into a mold that's constantly changing, and often, that mold doesn't quite fit anyone perfectly. Imagine trying to squeeze your hand into a glove that's too small or shaped differently than your hand. It would feel uncomfortable, maybe even hurt, right? That's what it feels like when we try to force ourselves into an ideal look that isn't naturally ours. The problem is, when we spend too much time chasing this ever-changing ideal, we start to lose sight of who we really are. We compare ourselves to images that might not even be real photoshopped, filtered, or professionally styled. And when we don't measure up to these impossible standards, we often feel disappointed, anxious, or even sad. This constant feeling of not enough or not quite right can make us unhappy. It can make us focus on flaws instead of our strengths, or on what's outside instead of what's inside. The deeper truth is, trying to look a certain way just to fit in or be accepted by society is a path that often leads to unhappiness. Because true happiness isn't found in looking like someone else, or in perfectly matching a picture from a screen. It's found in accepting who you are, in valuing your unique self, and understanding that real beauty isn't about fitting a mold. It's about the spark within you, the kindness you show, the curiosity you hold, and the genuine smile you share. These are the things that truly shine, far brighter than any perfect filter or changing trend. They are also the things that no one can ever take away from you, and they don't depend on how you look. Fitting in means losing yourself. Have you ever felt a quiet tug inside you? A feeling that you need to change who you are just to be liked? Maybe you've seen others do it too. This isn't just something that happens by chance. It's one of the ways society, without even meaning to, can teach us to be unhappy. It tells us that belonging is more important than being real. Here's the thing. Fitting in often means squeezing yourself into a shape that isn't quite yours. It means hiding bits of what makes you, you. You might pretend to like certain things, or laugh at jokes you don't really get. You might even quiet down your own opinions, just so you don't stand out too much. Why do we do this? Because deep down, humans have always wanted to belong. For thousands of years, being part of a group, a tribe, meant safety. It meant survival. Our brains are still wired for that ancient need for connection. We crave acceptance, and sometimes we think the only way to get it is to be just like everyone else. But what happens when you spend too much time trying to be someone else? It's like a plant that needs sunlight to grow, but you keep it in the shade because that's where all the other plants are. It might survive, but it won't ever truly bloom. It won't reach its full height or show its true colors. Think about it this way. You might love drawing comics or writing poetry, but maybe your friends are all into sports, and you feel like you have to pretend to be a huge fan to hang out with them. So, you spend your time talking about games when you'd rather be sketching. Or perhaps you see everyone on social media posting perfect-looking pictures, always smiling, always having fun. You start to feel like your life needs to look just as perfect. So, you only share the good moments, even if you're having a tough day. You might even stage photos or try to make your experiences look grander than they are. This isn't bad on its own, but when it becomes a constant act, it starts to feel heavy. When you constantly put on an act or filter your true self, you start to lose touch with who you actually are. You might even forget what you truly like, or what you really believe. That mask you wear for the world can start to feel like your real face, and that's a very lonely feeling. You end up feeling disconnected, not just from others, but from yourself. And it's hard to be happy when you don't even know who you truly are. True happiness, the deep kind, often comes from being exactly who you are, without apology. It means understanding that your unique thoughts, your strange hobbies, your quiet moments, and your loud passions are what make you wonderful. It means finding the courage to show those parts of yourself, even if it feels a little scary at first. It's a quieter path sometimes, not always the most popular. But it's the path where you can breathe, where you can grow, and where you can find people who will genuinely love and accept you for the magnificent, real person you are, without you having to change a single thing. And that's a beautiful way to live. Why being busy isn't always good. Have you ever felt like you always need to be doing something? Like if you're not busy, you're somehow wasting time? It's a common feeling, isn't it? We live in a world that often tells us being busy is the best thing. Society whispers that if you're always doing homework, playing sports, joining clubs, or planning your next big thing, you're on the right track. It often makes us believe that a full schedule equals a full life, or even a happy life. But here's the thing. Being constantly busy isn't always good for us. In fact, it can be one of the ways society accidentally trains us to feel stressed or unhappy. Think about it. We're often told that busyness means you are important, successful, or making the most of your time. If you're not busy, people might ask, "What are you doing?" And sometimes that question can make you feel like you should be doing something. This idea has grown stronger over time. Long ago, in places like ancient Greece, people actually valued quiet time. They believed that thinking deeply and just being still was important for wisdom and understanding. They saw it as a time for contemplation, a word that means long and careful thought. But then, as the world changed, especially with the rise of factories and modern work, being busy became a sign of hard work and making money. And over time, this idea shifted from just work to every part of our lives. So, what happens when we're always busy? Imagine your phone. It's always running apps, playing music, sending texts, and getting notifications. What happens to its battery? It drains really fast, right? If you never plug it in to charge, it eventually just stops working. Our minds are a lot like that phone battery. When we're always on, always doing something, always focused on the next task, our mental energy gets used up. Our brains need downtime. They need moments of quiet to recharge, to sort through thoughts, and to simply rest. Without this rest, we can start to feel tired, grumpy, or even overwhelmed. This isn't about being lazy. It's about making sure your mind has the energy it needs to work well. When we're constantly rushing from one thing to the next, we often don't have time to notice the small, beautiful things around us. We might miss a quiet moment with a friend, the way the clouds look, or even just what our own feelings are trying to tell us. We can become so focused on doing that, we forget about just being. And a big part of finding happiness comes from those moments of just being, of connecting with ourselves and the world around us. So, maybe it's worth asking ourselves, is all this busyness truly making us happier? Or is it sometimes just making us feel worn out and disconnected? Maybe true strength isn't about how much you can cram into a day, but about how well you can listen to your own rhythm. It's about remembering that quiet moments aren't empty moments. They're often where peace grows, where new ideas begin, and where we truly find ourselves. Taking time to simply be, without a plan or a task, can be one of the most important things we do for our well-being. It's about finding a balance that lets our minds and hearts rest and grow. The idea of not good enough. Have you ever felt that whisper inside your head? That quiet thought deep down that you just aren't quite good enough? Maybe it's about your grades, or how you look, or how many friends you have, or whether you made the team. It's a feeling that no matter what you do, or how hard you try, it's just not quite right, or you don't measure up to everyone else. This feeling can be a really heavy one. And here's the thing. Society often plays a big role in training us to feel this way. This idea of not good enough isn't just a personal glitch or a random bad mood. It's a deep-rooted belief that many of us carry, sometimes without even realizing it. Think about it. From the time we are small, we are measured. We get grades. We compare heights with friends. We see who can run the fastest or draw the best picture. This isn't bad on its own. It helps us learn and grow. But it can slowly shift into something else, something that makes us focus too much on being better than someone else, instead of just being our best selves. For a long time, in many older societies, a person's worth was often tied to their place in the community. What mattered was how well you contributed, how you helped your family, or what skills you brought to the group. Your value wasn't always about being the absolute best at everything, or having the most stuff, or looking a certain way. But over time, especially in modern life, the focus has shifted. We're bombarded with images and messages that show us what perfect looks like. We see people with perfect lives, perfect bodies, perfect achievements, and perfect possessions. This constant stream can make us feel like we're constantly falling short. Consider social media, for example. You scroll through feeds filled with carefully chosen photos. Everyone seems to be on amazing vacations, or wearing the coolest clothes, or getting awards, or hanging out with huge groups of friends, always smiling. And it's easy to look at that and think, my life isn't like that. My clothes aren't that cool. My trips aren't that exciting. I don't have that many likes on my picture. It creates this powerful sense that what you have, or who you are, isn't quite good enough compared to these shiny, often unrealistic portrayals. But here's what I found. Those perfect pictures, they don't show the struggles, the hard work, or the ordinary moments. They only show a tiny, often edited piece of someone's life. It's like a scientific experiment where you're always comparing yourself to an ideal image. But that image is actually made up, an average of 1,000,000 perfect moments, not a real person's day-to-day. So here's the problem. When we constantly measure ourselves against these impossible ideals, we set ourselves up for a feeling of being incomplete. We start believing that our happiness depends on reaching some external standard, instead of finding contentment in our own unique journey. And that's why it matters. This feeling of not good enough can lead us down a path where we're always chasing something external. A better grade, more followers, a new phone, approval from others. But true contentment doesn't come from proving your worth to the world. It comes from understanding that your worth isn't something you earn or lose based on external things. You are valuable because you are you. Your unique thoughts, your feelings, your kindness, your efforts. These things are what truly make you good enough, just as you are. It's a deep and quiet truth. You are already whole. Comparing your life to everyone else's. Have you ever looked at someone else's life and thought, wow, they have it all figured out? Maybe you scroll through social media and see perfect family vacations, amazing talents, or friendships that seem straight out of a movie. Or maybe it's just seeing someone in the hallway with the latest cool shoes, or getting a better grade on a test, and you feel that little tug of envy. This feeling, this act of comparing your own life to everyone else's, is something society often pushes us to do, and it can really mess with our happiness. So, what does it mean to compare your life to others? It's when you measure your own worth, your own success, or your own happiness by looking at what other people have, or what they seem to be doing. Instead of focusing on your own path, you're constantly checking how you stack up against someone else. And the tricky thing is, most of the time, we compare our insides to other people's outsides. We know all our own struggles, our own doubts, our own bad hair days, but we only see the polished, edited, highlight reel versions of other people's lives. Think about it like this. Imagine you're watching a movie trailer. You see all the most exciting parts, the dramatic moments, the funny jokes. You don't see all the hours of filming, the mistakes, the scenes that got cut, or the times the actors messed up their lines. What you see is a perfect, exciting summary. That's often what we see of other people's lives, especially online. We see their trailer, and then we compare it to our own full-length, messy, unedited feature film. This isn't a new problem. People have been comparing themselves to others for thousands of years. Long ago, a Roman philosopher named Seneca talked about how wanting what your neighbor has can steal your peace. He said, if you wish to get rid of your worries, assume that what you fear may happen is certainly going to happen. And then whatever happens, will feel like a gift. He meant that always wishing for more or comparing yourself to others is a path to constant unhappiness. In his time, people might have compared their farms, their homes, or their clothes. Today, it's still the same feeling, just with different things to compare, like TikTok followers or video game skills. Society, through advertising, media, and even just the way we talk about success, constantly puts forward images of what a perfect life looks like. It makes us feel like we need to chase those things to be happy, even if they aren't what we truly want. Here's the thing. Everyone, absolutely everyone, has challenges. Everyone has days where they feel insecure or lonely. That person with the perfect grades might be super stressed out. The one with the cool clothes might be struggling with something at home. The person with tons of followers might feel a lot of pressure to keep up appearances. What you see on the outside is rarely the full story. And this constant comparison hurts us. It makes us feel like we're not good enough, that we're missing out, or that our own lives aren't exciting enough. It takes our focus away from the good things we do have and the unique things that make us, us. True happiness isn't found by measuring yourself against others. It's found by understanding your own values, celebrating your own journey, and appreciating the life you are building for yourself. Your path is meant for you, and it doesn't need to look like anyone else's to be truly wonderful. The fear of missing out. FOMO. Have you ever scrolled through your phone, looking at pictures or videos, and suddenly felt a little pang in your stomach, like everyone else is having more fun than you are? Or maybe you saw friends hanging out without you, and even if you had other plans, a part of you wished you were there too. That feeling has a name. The fear of missing out, or FOMO. It's this deep worry that you're not part of something exciting, something important, or that others are having better experiences than you. And it makes you feel anxious, restless, or even a little sad. Now, here's the thing. This feeling isn't brand new. Humans have always had a need to belong. For thousands of years, our ancestors lived in small groups, tribes. Being left out could mean danger, or not getting food, or being alone. So, our brains are kind of wired to pay attention to what others are doing. We want to be part of the group. We want to feel connected. But here's the problem. Back then, you only really knew what a few dozen people were doing. Maybe your village, your family. If someone had a better hunt, you knew about it. If there was a feast, you were probably invited. Now, with the internet, with social media especially, you can see what hundreds, even thousands of people are doing all at once. And it's not just the fun stuff. It's often the highlight reel of their lives. The perfect photos, the exciting trips, the amazing parties. Nobody really posts about sitting at home, doing homework, or having a quiet night. So, our brains get tricked into thinking everyone else's life is this constant parade of amazing experiences, and ours isn't. Think about it like this. Imagine you're at a huge buffet. There are so many dishes, and you can only pick a few. You load up your plate, thinking it all looks delicious. But then you walk past someone else's table, and they have this one dish you didn't even notice, and it looks amazing. Suddenly, your plate, which looked good a second ago, seems less exciting. You start to wish you had picked that other thing instead. That's a bit like FOMO. We make choices for our day, our week. Maybe we decide to stay home and study, or spend time with family. Those are good choices. But then we scroll online and see someone else at a concert, or on a beach, or winning a big game. And suddenly, our perfectly good choice feels like a missed opportunity. Even though, in reality, maybe that concert was too loud, the beach was crowded, or the game was super stressful. We just see the perfect, filtered version. Here's what I found about this feeling. The more we compare our real lives to other people's highlight reels, the less happy we become with what we have. Our focus shifts from appreciating our own moments to wishing we had someone else's. And that's why it matters. Chasing every fun thing, worrying about what everyone else is doing, can actually stop us from being truly present and enjoying the fun we are having. Think about the joy you can find right where you are, in a quiet moment, in a conversation with a friend who is actually with you, in a hobby you love, even if nobody else is posting about it. The truth is, there will always be something you're missing out on. Because you can't be everywhere at once. You can't do everything. And that's okay. Happiness isn't about having a life that looks perfect to others. It's about finding joy in your own life, the one you're living right now. So, maybe sometimes the bravest thing we can do is put the phone down, look around, and choose to be content with our own adventure, knowing that sometimes missing out on one thing means gaining a different, maybe even better, experience right where we are. Why you need to do more? Do you ever feel like there's always something more you should be doing? Maybe your friends are playing a sport, or taking extra classes, or seem to have a packed schedule of fun activities. You might see someone on social media doing amazing things, and suddenly, what you're doing feels like not enough. It's a quiet whisper, or sometimes a loud shout, from the world around you. You need to do more. This idea of doing more isn't just about finishing your homework or doing your chores. It's a deeper message society sends. It tells us we need to always be busy, always improving, always achieving something new. It's like a never-ending race where the finish line keeps moving further away. You graduate middle school, now you need to get into a good high school. You get good grades, you should also be volunteering or playing an instrument. You find a hobby you love, you should probably try to turn it into something profitable, or at least be the best at it. Where does this constant push come from? Think about how the world changed a long time ago. People started working in factories and big companies. Value was put on how much you produced, how many hours you worked. The more you did, the more you were seen as valuable. This idea grew and grew. It mixed with dreams of success, of building a better life, of having more things. Society began to tell us that happiness, worth, and even safety came from never stopping, from always striving for the next big thing. If you weren't busy, if you weren't trying to climb higher, you might be left behind. Here's the thing. This mindset becomes a treadmill. Imagine you're on a treadmill, running and running. You're working hard, but you're not actually moving forward in space. You're just staying in the same spot, tired. That's what the pressure to do more can feel like. You get a good grade, and for a moment you feel good. But then the thought creeps in, what's next? How can I do even better? What if someone else got an even better grade? You sign up for a new club, and it feels exciting. Then you see all the other clubs, all the other activities, and wonder if you're missing out, if you should have joined more. It's like when you play a video game. You reach a new level, beat a boss, get a cool item. For a second, you're happy. But the game always has another level, another boss, another item. It's designed to keep you playing, to keep you wanting more. Society, in some ways, works like that too. It creates endless levels for us to chase. There's always a newer phone, a cooler pair of shoes, a more impressive achievement, a better version of yourself to become. It tells us we are only valuable if we are constantly striving for what's next, for what's more. And that's why it matters. This constant chase can make it hard to feel content with where you are, with who you are, right now. It can make you feel like you're never quite enough. But here's the thought we should carry. True satisfaction might not come from constantly doing more. Maybe it comes from recognizing when you've done enough. Maybe it comes from pausing on that treadmill, stepping off, and just being still for a moment. Perhaps real happiness can be found in appreciating the simple joys, the quiet moments, and the achievements you've already made, instead of always looking for the next thing to conquer. It's okay to be busy sometimes, but it's also okay to just be. Learning to hide how you really feel. Have you ever felt a really strong emotion? Maybe you were super sad, or really angry, or even incredibly scared, but you kept it all to yourself. You put on a brave face, maybe even a smile, and pretended everything was okay. It's like you were wearing an invisible mask. Here's the thing. We often learn to do this without even realizing it. Society, in many quiet ways, trains us to hide our true feelings, and sometimes that can actually make us feel more alone and unhappy. So, what does it mean to hide how you really feel? It means holding back your tears when you're hurt, biting your tongue when you're frustrated, or forcing a laugh when you'd rather cry. It's about showing the world one thing, while inside, you feel something completely different. Think about it like this. Imagine a duck swimming on a pond. On the surface, it looks so calm and graceful, just gliding along. But underneath the water, its little feet are paddling like crazy, working hard to keep it moving. Our emotions can be like those hidden duck feet. We show a calm surface, but underneath, there's a lot going on that no one sees. This isn't a new idea, by the way. For thousands of years, different cultures have had ideas about controlling emotions. Sometimes it was about being strong or stoic, which means showing very little emotion, especially in tough times. Back in ancient Rome, for example, philosophers taught that showing too much emotion made you weak. They believed true wisdom came from staying calm and logical, no matter what. And in many societies, even today, there's this quiet message that it's better to suck it up or get over it, instead of expressing what's truly bothering you. So, this isn't just a modern problem. It's a very old habit humanity has. Here's a common example you might have seen or felt. Imagine someone you know accidentally trips in the hallway and spills their lunch. They might feel super embarrassed, maybe even a little angry or sad about their ruined food. But what do? Often, they'll quickly stand up, maybe laugh it off, and say, "I'm fine," even if they're blushing red and feel like crying inside. They've learned that showing vulnerability, showing they're upset or embarrassed, isn't always seen as okay. Or think about a time someone made a joke that hurt your feelings. Instead of saying, "That wasn't funny," you might just smile weakly or stay quiet, because speaking up feels too hard or might cause more trouble. This teaches us that some feelings are bad to show, or that showing them will make others think less of us. And who teaches us this? Well, it's not one person. It's often family members who say, "Big boys don't cry," or "Don't be so sensitive." It's friends who tease you for reacting too much. It's movies and television shows where the heroes are always tough and never show fear or sadness. It's even social media, where everyone presents their best life and hides their struggles, making it seem like everyone else is perfectly happy all the time. All these small messages add up, telling us to push down certain feelings. We learn that it's safer to pretend than to be real. But here's the problem with constantly hiding how you feel. Those emotions don't just disappear. They stay inside, like pressure building up in a bottle. Over time, that pressure can make us feel anxious, stressed, or just generally unhappy, even if we don't know why. It can make us feel disconnected from others, because if no one knows what's really going on with us, it's hard to truly connect. And here's another thing. When we hide our feelings, we also hide parts of ourselves. We hide our true selves, the person who feels deeply and reacts honestly. So, what if we started to think about this differently? What if showing our true feelings, in a healthy way, was actually a sign of strength, not weakness? It takes real courage to be vulnerable, to say, "I'm hurt," or "I'm scared," or "I'm really excited." It's a quiet bravery to be honest with yourself and with others, even when it feels uncomfortable. When we learn to recognize and accept our feelings, even the difficult ones, we start to understand ourselves better. And that understanding is a big step towards feeling more at peace, more connected, and truly, genuinely happier. It's about letting the world see not just the calm duck on the surface, but also the powerful, working feet underneath. And those feet are a part of you, too. The problem with always being on. Do you ever feel like you can't truly switch off? Like even when you're just relaxing, part of your brain is still buzzing, ready for the next notification, the next message, the next thing you should be doing? It's like being plugged into a charger that's always giving you just enough power to stay awake, but never enough to fully recharge. This feeling, this constant hum, is what we mean by always being on. It's a quiet pressure that society often puts on us, without us even realizing it. Think about it. Our phones are almost always in our hands or pockets. We get messages at any time. Our friends might post something new at midnight, and we feel like we need to see it. Our school assignments can pop up online, making us feel like we need to check them, even on the weekend. There's this idea that to be successful, or even just to be a good friend, you have to be available, respond quickly, and keep up with everything. But here's the thing. Humans aren't built to be on all the time. Our bodies and minds need rest. A long time ago, life was different. People worked hard during the day, often with their hands, under the sun. When the sun went down or the work was done, that was it. There were no phones ringing, no emails to check. People might gather, tell stories, or just sit quietly. Their brains had time to wander, to process the day, to dream. There was a clear line between being active and being at rest. Now, that line has blurred. The invention of things like the internet and smartphones means the world is always awake, and we feel like we have to be too. It's like our brains are running too many apps in the background all the time. Imagine your phone. If you leave a bunch of apps open, even if you're not using them, they still drain the battery, right? Your phone gets warm, and the battery dies faster. Your brain works kind of like that. When it's constantly on, checking social media, thinking about what you need to do, responding to texts, it's draining its power, even if you don't feel like you're doing work. This constant draining means our battery never really gets to 100%. We might sleep, but if our minds are still racing or worried about what we missed, that sleep isn't as deep. We might sit down to watch a show, but if we're also scrolling through feeds on another device, our minds are split. This leads to a constant low level of tiredness, not just in our bodies, but in our minds. It makes it harder to focus, harder to feel truly calm, and harder to just be present in the moment. So, why does society push us to be this way? Often, it's not on purpose. Companies want us to use their products more. Social media thrives on our constant attention. The school system wants us to be engaged, but the result is that we lose something important: the quiet spaces. The moments of true stillness where our minds can wander, where new ideas can form, where we can truly relax and just be. This constant on switch robs us of deep rest. It makes us feel like we're always running a race, but never reaching the finish line. It tells us, subtly, that if we're not busy, we're not important, or that we're missing out. But the truth is, sometimes the most important thing you can do for your happiness and for your mind is to simply unplug, to let your battery fully charge, to give yourself permission to be quiet, to be bored, to just exist without needing to perform or respond, because it's in those quiet moments, when the world stops buzzing, that we can truly find peace and recharge ourselves. And that, in itself, is a powerful act of taking back a little bit of our happiness. What society says you should be. Have you ever paused and wondered, who decided all of this? Who wrote the rules for how you're supposed to live? What you should care about? Or even how you should feel? It's a quiet question that many of us carry, especially as we get older and start to see the world beyond our own neighborhoods. What we're talking about is like an invisible script, a set of unspoken rules that society seems to hand us. We pick them up everywhere, from television shows and movies, from the catchy songs on the radio, from social media posts, from the advice of friends, and even sometimes from what our families expect of us. These rules paint a picture of what a good or happy life looks like. They might suggest what kind of clothes to wear, what grades to get, what kind of friends to have, what hobbies are cool, or even what job will make us successful in the future. It's a kind of blueprint created by many different people and forces over a long time, showing us what we should be. Think about it. Hundreds of years ago, what made someone successful or good was often tied to their family's land, or their ability to farm, or their skill at a specific craft. The rules were different then, but rules still existed for how people were expected to behave and what was valued. For example, courage in battle, or being a loyal subject, or having many children to help with the farm. Over time, as societies changed, so did these rules. When cities grew and factories became important, working hard, being on time, and saving money became a big deal. People were encouraged to be good consumers and efficient workers. Then, with the rise of widespread advertising, movies, and eventually social media, the rules started to include buying certain things, looking a certain way, or having a specific kind of lifestyle. It's like each generation builds on the last, adding new layers to this invisible rulebook. The core idea isn't new. Humans have always had ways of organizing themselves and setting expectations for their members. But how those expectations are shown to us, and how much pressure they create to conform, that's what truly shifts. This constant layering makes the expectations feel heavier, sometimes, than they ever have before. Think about something as simple as advertising. When you see an ad for a new pair of shoes, it's not just showing you the shoes. It often shows someone cool, popular, and happy wearing them. The unspoken message is, if you buy these shoes, you'll be cool, popular, and happy too. Or consider social media. It's like a giant mirror reflecting back what everyone else is doing, or at least what they want you to think they're doing. You scroll through feeds, and you see photos of perfect-looking people on amazing vacations, or friends always hanging out and having fun, or people with seemingly flawless lives. You see trends for certain clothes, certain kinds of hobbies, or even certain ways of speaking. What does that tell you? It whispers that this is what happiness looks like. This is what success means. This is what you should own or achieve. And if your life doesn't look like that, if your clothes aren't in, or you don't have the newest gadget, or your friends aren't always posting fun stuff, then maybe, just maybe, you feel like you're not living up to the invisible script. It's like everyone is trying to fit into the same tiny box, a mold that's been designed by countless influences. We see others trying to squeeze into that box and think, I should be in there too, even if it means bending ourselves into uncomfortable shapes. But here's the thing. Trying to fit into a shape that isn't truly yours can be exhausting. It can make you feel like you're constantly falling short, like you're not good enough, or that your own happiness is always just out of reach. Perhaps the deepest secret isn't about following every sign on that road, but about learning which signs to ignore, and which path feels right for you. Maybe true happiness isn't about being what society says you should be, but about discovering who you truly are, and daring to be exactly that. It's a quiet strength, a gentle rebellion against the noise, choosing your own authentic story in a world that tries so hard to write it for you. Chasing the ideal future. Have you ever spent time truly dreaming about your future, building a picture in your mind of what your life will be like? It's natural to dream. But here's the thing. Sometimes, this constant chase for an ideal future can become a hidden source of unhappiness. Think about it. From a young age, society often gives us a blueprint. It's like a map for a supposedly happy life. Get good grades, go to a good school, find a stable career, buy a nice home, maybe get married, have kids. These are often presented as milestones you need to hit to finally arrive at happiness. This picture becomes what we call the ideal future. It's what we're taught to strive for, sometimes without even realizing it. But what happens when our happiness depends only on reaching that far-off ideal? We spend our present moments waiting. We might think, I'll be truly happy when I get that A, or I'll feel good about myself when I get into high school, or life will be perfect when I graduate and get a job. The happiness is always pushed ahead, just out of reach. It's like running a race where the finish line keeps moving a little further away every time you get close. People have thought about this for a very long time. Thousands of years ago, wise thinkers from ancient Greece and beyond noticed something similar. They talked about how important it was to live in the now. They saw that people often missed the beauty of today because they were always worried about tomorrow or regretting yesterday. Some philosophers believed that true happiness wasn't something you found later, like a prize at the end of a long journey. Instead, they said it was something you experienced in the present moment, in the simple things. They weren't saying don't plan or hope, but putting all your joy on hold for the future could make life feel empty. Here's an example you might recognize. Imagine you're really looking forward to a long holiday break. You count down the days thinking, when the break finally comes, I'll be so happy. Everything will be perfect. And then the break arrives. For a few days, it might be great. But then, maybe it rains, or you get bored, or your friends are busy. Suddenly, that perfect happiness you imagine doesn't quite match reality. And before you know it, the break is over, and you're already thinking about the next big thing to look forward to. You might not have fully enjoyed the moments you had during the break itself because you were too busy waiting for it to be perfect. This constant waiting, this deferring of happiness, can make us feel like we're always running, always striving, but never quite arriving. We can start to feel dissatisfied with what we have right now, because it doesn't measure up to that perfect image in our heads. We compare our ordinary, messy, real lives to the polished, imagined ideal, and our real life often seems to fall short. This can create a quiet sense of disappointment that whispers, "You're not there yet. You're not good enough yet. You're not happy enough yet." So, what does this mean? Does it mean we shouldn't have dreams or set goals? Not at all. Dreams are important. They give us direction and purpose. But here's the key difference. Having dreams is about aiming for something good. Chasing an ideal future often means believing that happiness only exists after you reach that ideal. The problem isn't the dream itself, but the belief that your present joy is less important than your future joy. Maybe true happiness isn't a destination at all. Maybe it's not waiting for you at the end of a perfect path. Perhaps it's more like a companion that walks with you along the path, no matter where you are right now. It means finding moments of peace and contentment in your everyday life, even as you work towards your goals. It means seeing the small joys in the ordinary, feeling grateful for what you have today. It's understanding that life's beauty isn't just in the big achievements, but in the millions of moments that make up the journey. By learning to appreciate the now, we can stop putting our happiness on hold and start truly living right where we are. The stress of too many choices. Have you ever stood in front of a giant wall of cereal boxes at the grocery store? Or scrolled through endless movies on a streaming service, only to end up watching nothing at all? It seems strange, right? Having lots of choices should feel good. It's about freedom. But sometimes, all those options don't make us feel free or happy. Instead, they make us stressed out and tired. This feeling, this kind of quiet struggle, when faced with too many paths, is what we call the stress of too many choices. For a long time, people believed that more options always led to more happiness. If you could pick exactly what you wanted, surely you'd be happier than if you only had one or two things to choose from. And that makes sense, in a way. Imagine a time, not so long ago, when most towns had just one store for everything. You bought what they had, period. There wasn't a choice of 20 different kinds of bread, or 50 different types of shoes. People just picked the best of what was available. Life was simpler in that regard. But then, as society grew and technology exploded, so did our options. And with them came a new kind of pressure. Here's the thing. Our brains are amazing, but they can get overwhelmed. When we have a few choices, our brain can compare them easily. It can weigh the pros and cons. But when there are hundreds, or even thousands, of choices, our brain starts to get bogged down. It's like trying to find one specific book in a library that has no organization, just piles and piles of books. You might spend all day looking and still not find what you want, or you might give up completely. Think about choosing a new pair of jeans. Years ago, you might have had a few styles and colors to pick from. Now, you walk into a clothing store or browse online, and there are skinny, straight, bootcut, flared, high-rise, low-rise, regular, distressed, light wash, dark wash, black, white, color. Dan, that's just a few. Each choice demands a bit of your energy. You wonder, is this the best pair? What if there's a better one? What if I pick the wrong one and regret it? This isn't just about jeans. It's about choosing a college, a job, what to eat for lunch, or even what emoji to use in a text. And here's a big part of why it's so tough: the fear of missing out. We see all these possibilities, and we worry that if we choose one thing, we're automatically giving up on something potentially better. We might pick a movie, but then wonder if the one we didn't pick was funnier, more exciting, or deeper. This feeling, this quiet hum of what if, can steal our joy from the choice we did make. It makes us less happy with our decisions, even good ones. And so, the very freedom we cherish can become a heavy burden. Society often tells us that more is always better. More money, more friends, more clothes, more experiences, and with more comes more choices. But maybe, just maybe, true happiness isn't found in having endless options. Maybe it's found in knowing what enough is. It's about being content with a good choice, even if there might have been a slightly different one out there. It's about finding peace in the path you've chosen, rather than constantly worrying about the paths you haven't. It reminds us that sometimes a clear, simple path, even if it has fewer turns, can lead us to a deeper sense of calm and well-being. And that quiet calm can be a powerful way to find happiness in a noisy world. When money becomes the goal, have you ever stopped to think about what we're really chasing in life? From the time we're very young, society often whispers a powerful message. Money is the key. It's painted as the path to a good life, to security, to comfort, and even to happiness itself. You see it everywhere. Advertisements tell you that owning certain things will make you feel complete. Grown-ups talk about careers and salaries as the ultimate measure of success. And so, without even realizing it, many of us start believing that the more money we have, the happier and better our lives will be. Here's the thing. When money becomes the only or the main goal, it can change how we see the world. It shifts our focus from experiences, relationships, and personal growth to numbers on a screen or the size of our bank account. It's like we're programmed to think that more is always better, no matter what we already have. For most of human history, people didn't think this way. In many older societies, the most important things were often about community, about helping each other, or about mastering a craft. People sought enough food, enough shelter, enough to support their family and their village. Their worth wasn't tied to how much gold they had, but to their wisdom, their kindness, or their skill. But as the world changed, especially after big events like the Industrial Revolution, money became more central. It became the main way to get what you needed. And then, slowly, it started to become a symbol of worth itself. So, this idea of constantly chasing more and more money is a newer way of thinking, not something that has always been around. This intense focus on money can trap us in what some people call a hedonic treadmill. Imagine a treadmill in a gym. You can run and run, but you stay in the same place. It's similar with chasing things that money can buy. Think about getting a brand new video game console, or that awesome pair of sneakers you really wanted. The first few days, maybe even weeks, you feel great. You're super excited. But then, what happens? That feeling starts to fade. The console is just a console. The shoes are just shoes. You get used to them. And then, a little while later, you might start looking for the next cool thing, the next purchase, hoping that will bring back the excitement. It's a cycle that never truly ends because the feeling of enough keeps moving further away. This constant chase can make us miss out on a lot. We might spend less time with friends and family because we're too busy working or worrying about money. We might give up hobbies or passions because they don't pay well. We might even sacrifice our health, feeling stressed and anxious, all in the pursuit of more dollars. It can lead to comparing ourselves to others, feeling like we're not good enough if we don't have what someone else has, or if our family doesn't live in the biggest house. So, what does this mean for us? Money is a tool, for sure. It helps us buy food, find shelter, get an education, and even enjoy some comforts. It has a place in our lives. But when it takes over, when it becomes the sole measure of our value or our happiness, that's when we can get lost. True happiness, real peace, often comes from places money can't touch. It comes from the warmth of a friendship, the joy of learning something new, the feeling of helping someone, the quiet beauty of a sunset, or the simple gratitude for what you already have. It's about understanding that our worth isn't found in our wallet, but in who we are, how we treat others, and the connections we build. That's a kind of richness that never runs out, and it's something society doesn't always teach us to value. Being afraid to make mistakes. Have you ever held back from trying something new or speaking up in class because of a quiet worry inside? That little voice telling you, what if I mess up? What if I'm wrong? It's a feeling many of us know well, this fear of making a mistake. But where does this fear come from? And how does it quietly push us toward unhappiness? Think about it. From the time we are very young, we are often taught that being right is good and being wrong is bad. In school, you get grades based on correct answers. In sports, you win or you lose. When we're kids, We might fall when learning to walk, but our parents encourage us to get back up. Yet, as we get older, the stakes feel higher. The idea of failure starts to feel heavy, like something to be avoided at all costs. Society often celebrates perfection, shines a spotlight on those who succeed without a visible struggle. It creates a picture that success just happens, clean and easy. But here's the thing. That's not how life really works. For centuries, people saw mistakes differently. If you look back, ancient thinkers often understood that learning came from trying things out, from exploring, and yes, from getting things wrong sometimes. They knew that a wrong turn could still teach you something valuable about the path. They didn't have standardized tests or social media feeds where everyone only shows their perfect moments. Their world was more about discovery, and discovery means experimenting. It means trial and error. It means making a lot of errors to find one right way. Consider something we all understand. Learning to ride a bike. No one just hops on a bike and rides perfectly the first time. You wobble. You fall. Maybe you skin a knee. You make mistakes in balancing, in pedaling, in steering. But each wobble, each fall, teaches you something. It teaches you how your body shifts, how to push off the ground, how to find your balance. If you were so afraid of falling that you never even tried to get on the bike, you would never learn to ride. You would miss out on the joy of feeling the wind in your hair, the freedom of speeding down a path. It's the same in many areas of life, even in science. Think about inventors. Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb, famously said he didn't fail. He just found 10,000 ways that didn't work. Each failure was a step closer to success. He wasn't afraid to try again, because he knew that mistakes were just part of the process, not the end of the road. Yet, our world today sometimes makes us feel like we should always be perfect, always know the right answer, always get it on the first try. We see polished images online, flawless performances, and it can make us feel like our own struggles or imperfections are embarrassing. This pressure, this quiet demand for perfection, creates a real fear of mistakes. And when we are afraid to make mistakes, we hold ourselves back. We stop trying new things. We don't speak up with our ideas. We avoid challenges. We stay in our comfort zones, even if that zone feels small and unfulfilling. So, here's what happens. When we are constantly worried about being wrong, we limit our own experiences. We miss out on the valuable lessons that mistakes offer. We stop growing. And a life where we stop growing, where we stay small and safe, can easily become a life filled with quiet unhappiness. Because true happiness, deep happiness, often comes from exploring, from learning, from pushing our own boundaries. It comes from the courage to try, even if it means getting it wrong sometimes, knowing that each wrong step is just part of the journey to finding what's right for us. It's about understanding that mistakes are not punishments, but rather quiet guides, showing us where to go next. The trap of perfectionism. Have you ever felt like everything you do has to be absolutely perfect? Like if it's not, then it's not good enough? Maybe it's a project for school, a drawing, or even just how you want your room to look. This feeling, this deep need for things to be without any flaws, is what we call perfectionism. And here's the thing. While wanting to do well can be a good push, chasing perfect can actually be a sneaky way society trains us to be unhappy. Imagine you're building something with Legos. You have a picture in your mind of exactly what it should look like. Every single brick in the right spot. No gaps, no wobbly parts. You spend hours, maybe even days, trying to get it exactly right. But then, you notice one tiny brick is a slightly different shade, or one piece isn't quite as straight as you pictured. Suddenly, that whole amazing creation feels less than. It doesn't matter how cool most of it is. Your mind fixes on that one small flaw. That's how perfectionism works. It makes us focus on what's wrong, even when so much is right. For a long time, people have thought about what it means to be ideal or perfect. Ancient Greek thinkers, for example, often talked about perfect forms or perfect beauty. They imagined a world where everything existed in its most flawless state. And art, for centuries, tried to capture this ideal. Think about famous statues, so smooth and perfect, without a single wrinkle or blemish. Society often holds up these images of flawlessness as something to strive for. We see them in magazines, on social media, even in how certain jobs are presented. You're told to be the perfect student, the perfect athlete, the perfect friend. But here's the problem. Real life isn't like those statues. Humans aren't perfect. We make mistakes. Our projects have smudges. Our efforts might fall short sometimes. If you only accept perfect, you're setting yourself up for constant disappointment. It's like trying to catch smoke in your hands. You can try forever, but it will always slip through. When we get stuck in this trap, we often don't even start something because we're afraid it won't be perfect. Or we work on it endlessly, never feeling it's good enough to share. This can make us feel anxious, stressed, and even sad. We might miss out on trying new things or enjoying the process because the end result isn't exactly how we imagined it. Take a student, for example, who has to write an essay. They want it to be amazing, no mistakes, every sentence flowing perfectly. They might spend hours on the first paragraph, rewriting it again and again, even though it's already good. They might get so stressed about making it perfect that they run out of time for the rest of the essay, or they just give up altogether. They might even feel bad about themselves because they couldn't reach that impossible perfect standard. This isn't about doing your best. It's about chasing an ideal that doesn't really exist in the real world. So, if society sometimes pushes us towards this idea of being flawless, how do we find happiness instead? Maybe it means understanding that good enough is often truly great. Maybe it's about seeing the beauty in things that are a little messy, a little unfinished, a little human. It's about learning to be kind to yourself when things don't turn out exactly as planned. Because in those imperfections, in those unique quirks, we often find the most interesting parts of ourselves and the world around us. It's in the trying, in the learning, and in the accepting of what is, that we truly build something lasting and meaningful, far more real than any perfect picture. Why we don't talk about sadness. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to talk about feeling happy, but how much harder it feels to talk about sadness? It's like there's an unspoken rule, a quiet agreement, that sadness should be kept to ourselves. We smile even when we don't feel like it. We say, "I'm fine," even when we're not. Why is that? Part of it is simple. Sadness can feel uncomfortable, not just for us, but for people around us. When someone is sad, it can make others feel unsure, maybe even a little helpless. So, we sometimes try to make sadness go away quickly, or pretend it's not there. Think about how things used to be. For a long time, in many places, showing strong feelings was seen as a weakness, especially for boys and men. The message was often be tough or don't cry. Emotions were seen as messy, something to control. It was about being strong and stoic, meaning showing very little emotion. This idea passed down through generations. People believed that if you showed you were upset, it meant you couldn't handle things. So, over time, we learned to bottle things up. And that way of thinking still sticks around today. Our world often celebrates being positive, successful, always on. Look at social media. Everyone shows their best life, their happiest moments. It creates a pressure, a silent whisper telling us that if we're not constantly happy, something is wrong. But here's the thing. Sadness is a natural part of being human. It's like a warning light on a car dashboard. It tells us something needs attention, that something might be hurting, or that something important has been lost. Imagine you trip and scrape your knee badly. It hurts. You wouldn't just ignore the pain, right? You'd look at it, clean it, put a bandage on. But with sadness, it's like we've been told to just limp along, pretend the knee isn't scraped, and never talk about the pain. We might even try to run a race like that. And what happens then? It usually just gets worse. The pain builds up, and it can affect other parts of our lives, even if we don't realize it. In psychology, we sometimes talk about emotional masks. We put on a happy mask for school, a brave mask for our parents, a nothing bothers me mask for our friends. But behind those masks, sadness is still there, tucked away. It doesn't disappear just because we hide it. In fact, holding it in can make it heavier, like carrying a backpack full of rocks you never get to put down. When we don't talk about sadness, it can feel very lonely. We start to think we're the only ones who feel this way, that everyone else has it all figured out. It makes it harder to truly connect with others, because honest connection often comes from sharing our full selves, not just the happy parts. So, why don't we talk about sadness? It's a mix of old ideas, fear of discomfort, and the pressure to seem perfect. But here's what matters. Sadness is not a weakness. It's a signal. It tells us we care, that we're alive, that things affect us deeply. And just like physical pain needs attention, emotional pain does too. Learning to gently acknowledge our sadness, and maybe even share it with someone we trust, isn't about being weak. It's about being truly strong. It's about understanding ourselves better and finding a real path toward feeling a bit lighter, even when things are heavy. It's about letting ourselves be fully human, with all the feelings that come with it. Believing everything you see online. Have you ever scrolled through your phone, looking at pictures and videos, and felt a tiny sting? Maybe you saw someone's perfect vacation, or their amazing new outfit, or how effortless their life seemed. And then, for a moment, did your own life feel a little less exciting? A little less perfect? Here's the thing. Much of the unhappiness we feel today can come from believing everything we see online. It's about perception. Think about it like this. When you look at a window, you see what's outside. But what if the window had a special filter that made everything look brighter, shinier, and always sunny, even when it's raining outside? That's a lot like what happens on the internet, especially on social media. People show only their best moments, their happiest smiles, their most exciting adventures. They pick and choose. They use filters. They might even edit things to look different from reality. So, what you're seeing isn't the whole picture. It's like watching a movie trailer that only shows the coolest parts, leaving out all the slow bits, the problems, or the parts where nothing much happens. For a long time, even before the internet, people tried to show their best selves. People would put on their fanciest clothes for a photograph, or only share good news, not bad. But the difference now is the sheer amount of it. It's not just a few photos in an album. It's a never-ending stream, right there in your pocket all the time. It creates a constant pressure. It makes it seem like everyone else is living a perfect, joy-filled existence. And if you're not, then something must be wrong with you. This happens because our brains are wired to compare. We naturally look around and see what others are doing, how they're living. It's an old survival instinct, helping us learn from our community. But here's the problem. When we compare our actual, messy, real lives with all their ups and downs, their awkward moments, their quiet days though someone else has carefully chosen, filtered online highlight reel, it's just not a fair comparison. It's like comparing a whole, complicated book to just the exciting summary on the back cover. The summary sounds amazing, but it doesn't show the hard parts, the confusion, or the times the character struggled. So, when you see a friend on a seemingly perfect trip, you're not seeing the long plane ride, the fight they had with their sibling, or the stress of losing their luggage. You're only seeing the one photo of them laughing in front of a landmark. Your brain, though, doesn't always remember this. It just sees the perfect image and then jumps to the conclusion that your own ordinary afternoon must be boring or not good enough. And this thinking, day after day, can slowly make you feel less happy with your own life. The truth is, everyone has struggles. Everyone has bad days. Everyone has moments when they feel awkward or unsure. No one's life is a perfect, filtered Instagram feed, no matter how much it might seem that way online. The most real and valuable thing you have is your own life, with all its authentic moments. Learning to see through the filters, to understand that what you see online is just a tiny, often polished, piece of reality, can be a powerful step. It can help you feel more at peace with your own journey, knowing that your real, unedited life is enough. It's about remembering to look at your own path, not just the edited highlights of someone else's. The constant need for new stuff. Have you ever felt that nagging feeling, that little voice in your head telling you that you need something new? Maybe it's the latest phone, those super cool sneakers, or a brand new video game. It's like your old stuff suddenly isn't good enough anymore, even if it worked perfectly fine just yesterday. This feeling, this constant wanting for the next big thing, is something society often trains us to have. Here's the thing. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to buy. From the moment we turn on a screen or walk into a store, messages are everywhere. They tell us that if we just had this product, our lives would be better, we'd be happier, or we'd fit in more. It's like society whispers that what you have right now isn't quite enough. This idea didn't just appear out of nowhere. For a long time, people mostly focused on making or fixing what they needed. But over the last century or so, especially with huge factories and clever advertising, companies realized they could make more money if people bought things all the time, not just when they broke. So, they started making us believe that new is always better, and that buying things is a way to find happiness. Think about it like this. Imagine you get a brand new smartphone. For the first few days, maybe even weeks, you're super excited. You show it off. You explore all the new features. It feels amazing. But then, after a while, it just becomes your phone. It's no longer that shiny, new, exciting thing. And then, a few months later, a newer model comes out. And suddenly, your new phone starts to feel old. It's not quite as special anymore. This feeling is a lot like being on a hamster wheel. You keep running, trying to get to that feeling of newness and excitement. But once you get there, the feeling fades, and you start looking for the next wheel to run on. In psychology, there's a simple idea that explains this. Humans tend to get used to new things pretty quickly. That amazing new feeling doesn't last because our brains adapt. So, to feel that buzz again, we look for the next purchase, and that's why it matters. This constant chase for new stuff can leave us feeling pretty unhappy in the long run. We might spend a lot of time and energy trying to earn money for things we don't truly need. We might compare ourselves to others, always feeling like we're falling behind because someone else has something newer or more expensive. It can distract us from finding happiness in simpler things. A good conversation with a friend, spending time outside, learning something new, or being thankful for what we already have. Maybe true happiness isn't about filling our lives with more things, but learning to be content with what is already here. Perhaps it's about shifting our focus from wanting more to appreciating enough. Thinking success means popularity. Have you ever thought about what it truly means to be successful? Maybe you picture someone famous, or the person who seems to have all the friends. You see them on social media, or walking the halls, always surrounded, always laughing. And it's easy to start believing that success, real success, means being liked by everyone. It means having lots of followers, lots of friends, lots of people who know your name and want to be around you. But here's the thing. When society tells us that being popular equals success, it sets us up for a feeling that's hard to shake. A feeling of not being enough. It trains us to constantly look outside ourselves for approval. We start thinking that our worth, our happiness, even our future, depends on how many people cheer for us, or how many likes we get on a post. This idea isn't new. For a long time, people have wrestled with the difference between what makes them happy inside and what makes others think they're important. Back in ancient times, some thinkers believed true happiness came from being good and wise, no matter what others thought of you. But even then, there was always the pressure to fit in, to be part of the group, to be seen as important. Our modern world just turns up the volume on that pressure. Imagine a tree trying to grow strong and tall. Now, imagine that tree only cared about being the most popular tree in the forest. Instead of reaching for the sun and sending its roots deep into the earth for its own strength, it might try to grow branches in a way that just pleased all the other trees passing by. It might bend this way or that, trying to look cool or impressive to every squirrel and bird. But what happens? That tree might end up crooked, its roots shallow, not truly strong or healthy. It focused so much on what others thought that it forgot what it needed to thrive on its own. Think about social media. It can feel like a popularity contest, right? Every post is a chance to get approval. Every like or comment feels like a score. If your post doesn't get many likes, it can make you feel like it wasn't good enough, or worse, that you aren't good enough. You might start choosing what to share based on what you think others will like, instead of what truly matters to you or what you genuinely want to express. You might even ignore your own interests or feelings just to fit into what seems popular at the moment. This can happen in school too. Maybe you want to join a club or try a new hobby, but you worry if it's cool enough or if your friends will approve. So, you don't do it. Or you pretend to like things you don't, just to be part of a certain group. And that's why it matters. Chasing popularity as the main goal often leads to unhappiness. Because here's the problem. Popularity can be fickle. People's opinions change. Trends come and go. If your sense of worth is built on something that can change so quickly, then your happiness will also be unstable. It's like trying to build a house on sand. A shifting foundation means a shaky home. True success and true happiness isn't about how many people cheer for you. It's about how you feel about yourself when no one else is around. It's about the quiet strength you build when you pursue your own interests, learn new things, and stand up for what you believe in, even if it's not the most popular choice. It's about finding joy in your own growth, in your own efforts, and in the real connections you make with people who see and value the true you, not just the version of you that tries to please everyone else. So, maybe success isn't about being popular at all, but about being truly, honestly you, and finding peace there. Losing your own voice in the crowd. Have you ever been in a big group, maybe a classroom or a school assembly, and felt like everyone was thinking or saying the same thing? Maybe you had a different idea, a different feeling, but you kept it to yourself. It's like you had a voice, but it just faded into the noise of everyone else. This feeling, this experience, is what we mean when we talk about losing your own voice in the crowd. It's not just about literally not speaking. It's about when your unique thoughts, your true feelings, or your own ideas get pushed aside. They get replaced by what seems like the popular opinion, or what the group expects you to think. And that's why it matters so much. When you lose your own voice, you start to lose a piece of yourself. You might begin to believe what others believe, or act how others act, even if it doesn't truly feel right for you. It's a quiet kind of unhappiness that can sneak up on you. Think about it like this. For a very long time, humans have lived in groups, tribes, villages, towns, and now big societies. Being part of a group often meant safety. If everyone agreed and worked together, they could hunt, build, and protect each other. So, there's always been a strong push to fit in, to follow the rules, and to think like the others. This helped society stay organized and strong. But here's the problem. Sometimes, this strong push to conform can make it hard for individual thoughts to grow. It can make us feel like we have to hide our true selves. It's not a new challenge. People throughout history have felt this pull between fitting in and being themselves. Imagine you're sitting in a classroom, and your teacher puts up 3 lines on the board. They are clearly different lengths. Let's say line A is the shortest, line B is medium, and line C is the longest. The teacher asks a question. Which line is the same length as this other line I'm pointing to? The answer is clearly line B. But here's what happens next. The teacher asks your friends first, and one by one they all say, line C. You know it's wrong. You know the answer is line B. But everyone before you, even people you trust, said line C. And so, when it's your turn, you hesitate. You might even start to wonder if you're the one who's wrong. And sometimes, just to fit in, just to avoid sticking out, you might say, line C too. This isn't just a made-up story. It's a real thing that psychologists have studied. They found that even when the answer is super obvious, people will often go along with the wrong answer if everyone else in the group is saying it. It wasn't about being wrong. It was about not wanting to be different. It was about losing their own correct judgment in the face of what the crowd was doing. When society, or your friends, or even what you see on social media, pushes you to be a certain way, it's easy to let your own voice get quieter and quieter. You might feel like you need to like the same things, wear the same clothes, or even think the same thoughts as everyone else to be accepted. But true happiness doesn't come from blending in perfectly. It comes from knowing and honoring who you really are. It comes from daring to listen to that quiet voice inside you, the one that knows your truth. It's about understanding that your unique voice, different as it may be, is a gift, and finding a way to let it be heard, even if it's just by yourself, is an important step towards being truly content. The myth of the easy life. Have you ever looked at someone else's life? maybe on social media or in a movie, and thought, wow, their life seems so easy. Why isn't mine like that? Or maybe you've heard people say things like, just get good grades, get into a good college, find a good job, and then life will be smooth sailing. It sounds nice, right? This idea that if we just do certain things, life will suddenly become simple, carefree, and totally without problems. Here's the thing. Society often tells us there's an easy life waiting for us. It's like a grand prize we win if we follow all the rules. It says if you work hard enough, or if you're smart enough, or if you just buy the right stuff, then everything will be easy. This is the myth. It's the belief that life should be simple, without struggle, without setbacks. It whispers that if you're facing challenges, it means you're doing something wrong, or that you're not trying hard enough, or that you're not good enough. Where did this idea come from? Well, think about how much we see perfect images every day. Advertisements show smiling people with perfect families, perfect homes, perfect clothes. Social media often highlights only the best moments, the fun trips, the big successes, the easy wins. We rarely see the messy parts, the hard work, the failures, the tears. This constant flood of perfect can make us feel like everyone else has it easy, and we're the only ones struggling. In a way, it's a modern twist on an old idea. For a long time, people understood that life involved struggle. Farmers knew you had to work hard for your food. Builders knew you had to sweat to build a house. There was an acceptance that life had its ups and downs. But now, it feels like we're always being sold the dream of a life without any downs at all. Like there's a magical finish line, and once you cross it, all your worries disappear. And that's just not how life works for anyone. Think about learning to ride a bike. When you first start, it's hard. You wobble, you fall, you scrape your knees. It's not easy. If you thought, riding a bike should be easy, so I'm doing something wrong because I'm falling, you'd probably give up. But you don't. You keep trying, you learn to balance, and eventually, it becomes smooth. But even then, you might hit a bump, or need to pedal uphill. The easy part isn't that you never fall. It's that you learn how to handle the ride. Or consider a video game. Imagine a game where you just press one button and instantly win every level. Would that be fun for long? Probably not. The challenge, the puzzles, the boss battles, those are what make the game interesting and rewarding. When you finally beat a tough level, it feels great because you overcame something hard. If it was always easy, it would be boring. Our brains are a bit like that. They grow and get stronger when they have to work through problems, not when everything is handed to them. It's like how your muscles get stronger when you lift weights, not when you just sit on the couch. When we believe the myth of the easy life, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Every time something is hard, we might think, this isn't how it's supposed to be, and feel unhappy or like a failure. But what if we shifted our thinking? What if we understood that life, for everyone, involves challenges? That struggles are not signs that you're doing it wrong, but just part of the journey. When we let go of the idea that life should be easy, we open ourselves up to something powerful. We learn that it's okay for things to be tough. We learn resilience, the ability to bounce back when things get hard. We find strength we didn't know we had. We discover that true happiness often comes not from avoiding problems, but from facing them, learning from them, and growing through them. It's in the effort, the learning, the overcoming, that we often find the deepest satisfaction and a truer, more lasting sense of well-being. So, next time you face something difficult, remember, it's not a sign you're failing, but a chance to get stronger. And there's real power in that. Why it's hard to just be yourself. Have you ever felt like you needed to act a certain way, or like a different person, just to fit in? Maybe you've pretended to like a band you didn't, or laughed at a joke you didn't understand, all because everyone else was doing it. Here's the thing. It's incredibly common to feel this way. And it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's actually a very human struggle, one that society often makes harder. Being yourself means allowing your true thoughts, feelings, and interests to show, even if they're different from what others expect. It means being honest about what you like, what you believe, and who you are deep down. But why does that feel like such a challenge sometimes? Why do we often feel pushed to hide parts of ourselves, or even change them, just to be accepted. For a very long time, belonging to a group was crucial for survival. Think back to ancient times, when people lived in tribes. If you were cast out, it could mean danger, even death. Being part of the group meant safety, food, and protection. So, humans developed a strong natural drive to fit in, to be accepted by their community. This deep-seated need hasn't gone away, even though our lives are much different now. We still have that powerful desire to be part of something, to be liked, to avoid standing out too much in a negative way. Imagine a chameleon. This amazing lizard can change its skin color to match its surroundings. If it's on a green leaf, it turns green. If it moves to a brown branch, it turns brown. It does this to blend in, to stay safe from predators. In a way, humans sometimes do something similar. Not with our skin, but with our personalities and behaviors. We might change how we act, what we say, or even what we seem to care about, just to blend in with the group around us. We do it to feel safe from judgment, from being teased, or from being left out. This chameleon effect shows up in many ways. At school, maybe there's pressure to wear certain brands of clothes, or to like the same video games as the popular kids. On social media, you might see endless posts showing perfect lives, making you feel like you need to present a flawless version of yourself, even if that's not really how you feel inside. You might hide your true passions if they seem uncool, or different from what your friends are into. Maybe you love to draw comics, but your friends only talk about sports, so you keep your art a secret. Or you have a unique way of thinking about things, but you keep quiet in class because you don't want to sound strange. And here's why it hurts us. When we constantly pretend, we slowly lose touch with our real selves. It's like wearing a mask all the time. After a while, the mask can start to feel like your actual face, and you might even forget what your true face looks like underneath. This can lead to a quiet kind of unhappiness, a feeling that something important is missing. We might feel alone even when we're surrounded by people, because those people don't know the real us. It's hard, yes, to truly be yourself in a world that often encourages us to conform. But understanding this struggle is the first step. It helps us see that the pressure to fit in is a powerful force, built into our history and our society. Knowing this can help you quietly find your own path, slowly peeling away those layers of pretending. It's about finding the courage to let your unique light shine, knowing that while it might feel risky at times, it's the truest way to find genuine peace and belonging, both with yourself and with others who will value the real you. Measuring worth by what you have. Have you ever scrolled through social media, seen what someone else has, a brand new pair of sneakers, a cool gadget, or photos from an amazing vacation, and felt a little small? Like suddenly, what you have isn't quite good enough. This feeling, this quiet whisper in our minds, is one way society teaches us to measure our worth by what we own. Here's the thing. We often learn without even realizing it, that how much stuff we have, or how fancy it is, somehow shows how important or successful we are. It's like a hidden scorecard. People might look at a big house, a fast car, or expensive clothes and think, wow, that person must be doing really well. And if they think that, then the opposite can also feel true. If you don't have those things, maybe you're not doing so well. This idea makes us believe our value as a person goes up or down depending on our possessions. But that's a tricky trap. For a long, long time, how much someone owned did matter. Back in ancient days, owning a lot of land or many animals meant you had power and security. It made sense then. But even back then, wise thinkers, like the ancient Greek philosophers, knew that true happiness didn't come from having the most stuff. They believed happiness came from inside, from a peaceful mind, from being kind, and from living a good life. They saw that always wanting more, always chasing the next new thing, could actually make people feel restless and unhappy. They understood that things don't stay new forever, and wanting more means you're never truly content. But then, things changed a lot. When factories started making things really fast and cheap, suddenly there was a lot more stuff to buy. And then, advertising came along. Ads started telling us, you need this to be happy. You need this to fit in. You need this to be loved. They showed us perfect people with perfect lives, all thanks to the products they bought. This is called consumerism, the idea that buying things is good for us and for the economy. It's like society whispers in our ear, if you want to be someone, buy something. Think about your phone. You get a new one, and for a while, it's amazing. You feel current, connected. But then, a newer model comes out. Suddenly, your amazing phone feels old. You might start feeling like you're missing out, or that you're not keeping up. This isn't because your old phone stopped working, or because you suddenly became less cool. It's because the idea of new and better is constantly pushed on us. Our personal value can start to feel linked to whether we have the latest tech or the trendiest clothes. But here's the problem. This chase never ends. There will always be something newer, something more expensive. A tree's worth isn't based on how many shiny ornaments it has hanging from its branches. Its real value comes from its strong roots, its ability to grow, its steady trunk, and the shade it provides. It's valuable because of what it is, not what it has. And we are like that too. Our real worth, our true value, isn't found in a price tag or a brand name. It's in our kindness, our unique ideas, our sense of humor, our courage, and how we treat others. It's in the connections we make, the laughter we share, and the good we put into the world. Understanding this can free us from that endless chase. It helps us see that true happiness doesn't come from owning more. It comes from valuing what's inside us, and from the simple, real moments we share with people we care about. We are valuable because we exist, not because of what we buy. And that's a truth that can bring a deep, lasting peace. The pressure to be happy all the time. Have you ever felt like you had to pretend to be happy even when you weren't? Maybe at a party, or when someone asked how your day was, and you just smiled and said, fine, even if you felt tired or worried inside. Here's the thing. Society often tells us we should be happy all the time. It's an unspoken rule, a quiet whisper that says sadness, anger, or even just feeling blah isn't okay. We see smiling faces everywhere, on television, in ads, on our phones. It's like there's a big push to always show a perfect, positive front. This isn't a new idea, but it's gotten much stronger lately. For a long time, people understood that life had all sorts of feelings. If you look at old stories or songs, they often talk about sadness, bravery in hard times, and moments of joy. But somewhere along the way, especially in modern times, we started to focus heavily on positive thinking. On the surface, that sounds good, right? Thinking positively can help. But the idea got twisted. It became less about choosing to see the good and more about only allowing ourselves to feel good. And that's where the pressure comes in. It's like we've created a world where only one emotion is truly welcome. Imagine if the weather forecast only ever showed sunny days. You'd think rain, clouds, or even a cool breeze never happened. But they do. Emotions are a lot like the weather. They change. They come and go. If we only ever let ourselves feel sunny emotions, what happens to the rainy ones? Do they just disappear? Number. They get pushed down, hidden away, like secrets we don't want anyone to discover. Think about social media. It's a huge example of this pressure. Everyone posts their happiest moments. The perfect selfie, the fun vacation, the celebration. It's like a highlight reel of joy. But nobody posts about the bad test they got, or the argument they had with a friend, or just feeling really lonely. When you scroll through these perfect pictures, it can make you feel like everyone else has a perfectly happy life, and you're the only one who struggles. This makes us feel like we need to put on a show, too. So, we try to match the happiness we see online, even if it's not what we genuinely feel inside. It's like playing a role in a play where the script only has happy lines. But here's the problem with constantly trying to be happy, or acting like you are. When we push away feelings like sadness, anger, or worry, they don't vanish. They often build up inside, like steam in a pot with the lid stuck on. If you keep the lid on too long, the steam has nowhere to go, and the pressure just grows. Eventually, it can boil over in unexpected ways. You might feel extra tired, or snap at someone for a small reason, or just feel a general sense of unease. These hidden feelings can also make it harder to truly understand ourselves. All our emotions, even the difficult ones, are important messages. Sadness can tell us we've lost something important. Anger can signal that a boundary has been crossed or something feels unfair. Worry can be our mind trying to prepare us for a challenge. These feelings are not bad. They are signals, like the different lights on a car's dashboard. You wouldn't want to ignore a warning light, would you? So, here's a calm thought to carry. It's truly okay not to be okay sometimes. Real happiness isn't about pretending everything is perfect all the time. It's about accepting the whole range of what it means to be human. It's about allowing yourself to feel what you feel, understanding those feelings, and letting them move through you. When you do that, you're not just being honest with others, you're being honest with yourself. And that honesty, that acceptance of every part of your emotional world, is a much deeper and more peaceful kind of happiness than any forced smile could ever be. How ads make you feel less. Have you ever scrolled through social media or watched television and suddenly felt a tiny pang? Like everything was fine a moment ago, but now you feel like something's missing from your life? You're not alone. This feeling often comes from advertisements. Here's the thing. Ads are designed to make you feel a little less than you are, so you'll want to buy what they're selling. Think about it. An ad for a new pair of sneakers doesn't just show the shoes. It shows someone famous, cool, or incredibly happy wearing them. They're jumping, laughing, surrounded by friends, or achieving something amazing. The ad doesn't tell you, these shoes are good for running. Instead, it suggests, if you wear these shoes, you could be cool, happy, and successful too. But here's the problem. You might look at your own shoes, your own life, and think, my life isn't like that. I don't feel that cool or happy right now. The ad has created a gap between your reality and the perfect world it shows. This gap makes you feel a sense of lack, a feeling that you're not quite enough, or that you don't have enough. You feel less than the ideal person in the advertisement. This isn't a new trick. For a long time, people have shown off what they have to others. But in today's world, advertising takes this to a whole new level. It's everywhere. On your phone, on billboards, in every video. It's not just rich people showing off their things. It's a constant stream of images designed by experts to make you feel like your current life is missing something. It works a bit like this. Imagine your brain is always trying to figure out if you're safe and happy. Ads introduce a new idea of happy. They show someone with perfect skin using a certain cream, or a family having the most amazing time around a particular brand of soda. Your brain quickly compares this perfect image to your own skin or your own family gatherings. When there's a difference, your brain gets a little alert saying, hey, you don't have that. Maybe you need it to be complete. It's like when you're building with Legos and you see a picture of the finished model, but you know you're missing a specific piece. You might feel a little disappointed until you get that piece. Ads make you feel like you're always missing a piece, and they conveniently sell it to you. The constant push to compare yourself to these perfect, often fake, scenarios can be draining. It can make you feel like you're always chasing something, always needing more, always trying to catch up to an impossible ideal. This is how society, through advertising, can train us to feel a quiet sense of unhappiness or incompleteness. So, the next time you see an ad that makes you feel that little pang, pause. Remember that ads are stories carefully put together to make you want something. They are not mirrors reflecting your true worth or your happiness. Your value isn't found in what you own or what you buy. It's found in who you are, the people you care about, and the simple, real moments of your life. True contentment comes from within, not from trying to fill a gap an advertisement created. The cycle of wanting more and more. Have you ever really wanted something, like a brand new video game, or that cool jacket everyone at school is wearing? You think about it all the time. You save up, or maybe you convince your parents. And then, finally, you get it. For a little while, you feel amazing. It's exciting, right? But then, here's the thing. That super happy feeling starts to fade. Maybe a week later, or a month later. It's just normal. And pretty soon, you find yourself wanting something else. Something new. Something even better. This is what we call the cycle of wanting more and more. It's like a never-ending chase. Society, in many ways, trains us for this chase. From the moment we're little, we see messages telling us that happiness comes from having things, from getting the latest gadget, from looking a certain way, or from having a particular experience. Commercials show smiling faces with new cars, perfect families with fancy houses, and popular kids wearing brand-name clothes. They all tell us the same story. Get this, and you'll be happy. But the problem is that happiness is often super short-lived. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it never stays full. This isn't a new idea, by the way. People have noticed this pattern for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers, like some wise philosophers from ancient Greece and Buddhist teachers in Eastern lands, talked about how our desires are like a fire that can never truly be put out by adding more fuel. The more we feed our desires, the stronger they become, and the more we crave. They understood that if we always tie our happiness to getting something new, we're setting ourselves up for constant disappointment. Think about social media for a moment. You scroll through feeds, seeing what everyone else has, what trips they're taking, what fun things they're doing. You might start to feel like you need those things too, to be as happy as they seem. You get a lot of likes on a post, and for a moment it feels good. But then, you want more likes. Or you see someone else with even more, and suddenly that good feeling is gone. It's a quick high, followed by a quiet letdown. This is society playing a part, constantly showing us what's next, and what we lack. This constant wanting can make us feel like we're always missing something, that we're not enough, or that our lives aren't exciting enough. It keeps us focused on what we don't have, instead of what we do have. And that's where unhappiness can creep in. When we're always looking ahead to the next thing, we miss out on appreciating the present moment. We forget to enjoy the simple things right in front of us, like a good laugh with a friend, a quiet afternoon reading a book, or just the feeling of the sun on your face. So, if chasing more and more doesn't bring lasting joy, where does real contentment come from? Perhaps it's not about getting, but about noticing. It's about finding appreciation for the everyday wonders that are already here. It's about understanding that our worth isn't measured by what we own or what we look like. Maybe, just maybe, true happiness isn't found in getting the next big thing, but in realizing that right now, in this very moment, we might already have everything we truly need. Ignoring your gut feelings. Have you ever had that feeling deep down inside you, like a tiny voice whispering, telling you something? Maybe it's a quick thought that something feels off, or a sudden urge to do one thing instead of another. That quiet whisper? We often call it a gut feeling or intuition. It's that immediate sense, a knowing without words, that bubbles up from somewhere mysterious within us. It's not a thought you've worked out in your head. It's more like a feeling in your body, a warning or a pull that just seems right or wrong. For a long, long time, people have talked about this inner guide. Think about ancient stories, or even just what your grandparents might say. They often speak of listening to your heart, or having a sixth sense. Wise people through history, like the old Greek thinkers, believed in a kind of practical wisdom that wasn't just about logical steps, but about knowing the right thing to do in a tricky situation, almost without thinking. It's like our bodies and minds are always collecting information, much more than we realize, and sometimes that information bubbles up as a hunch or a feeling. It's a very old, very human way of understanding the world. But here's the problem. Society often trains us to ignore this inner voice. From a young age, we're taught to rely on rules, facts, and what other people tell us. We learn to look for proof, to check off boxes, to get approval from teachers, parents, or friends. If you feel a certain way, but everyone else is doing something different, or if an adult says, "Don't be silly, that's not true," what happens? You start to doubt yourself. You start to think that maybe your own feelings aren't smart enough, or that they're just getting in the way. Imagine this. You're walking home from school, and you decide to try a new path, just because it looks interesting. Suddenly, you get a weird feeling, like a little alarm bell goes off inside you. There's no danger you can see, no logical reason to feel this way, but that feeling is strong. What do? Most of the time, We're taught to push through that feeling. Don't be scared, we might tell ourselves. It's probably nothing. Or, what if I miss out on something cool if I turn back? So, you ignore that quiet warning, and you keep going, even if a part of you feels uneasy. Here's another example. You're picking partners for a group project. Someone asks you to be their partner, and on the surface, they seem like a great choice. They're smart, popular, good at school, but deep down, you get a strange, nagging feeling. Something about it just doesn't sit right. Yet, because everyone else thinks this person is great, and it makes logical sense, you push that feeling away. You tell yourself, don't be so judgmental. This is a good opportunity. Later, maybe you find out that your gut feeling was right, and working with that person becomes really difficult, or you end up feeling left out. When we constantly silence these inner whispers, something important happens. We slowly lose touch with a part of ourselves that is meant to guide us. We become less sure of our own judgment. We start to rely only on outside opinions, or what seems logical on paper, even if it feels wrong in our hearts. This can lead to choices that don't truly serve us, or situations that leave us feeling uneasy and out of place. And that, in turn, can make us feel unhappy, because a deep part of being happy is trusting yourself, knowing what feels right for you, and having the courage to follow that quiet inner compass, even when the world tells you to go another way. It means understanding that sometimes the most profound wisdom comes from a feeling, not just a fact. Why being different feels wrong. Have you ever felt that strange pull, that quiet whisper in your mind, telling you something about yourself isn't quite right? Maybe it's a way you think, a hobby you love, or a feeling you have that just doesn't seem to match everyone else around you. Why does it sometimes feel bad, or even wrong, to be different? Here's the thing. This feeling goes way back, deep into our human history. Imagine a very long time ago, when people lived in small groups, like tribes. To survive, you needed your group. You needed them for safety from wild animals, for finding food, for warmth. Being part of the group was everything. If you were too different, if you didn't fit in, you might be left out. And back then, being left out could mean danger, even death. Your brain, over thousands of years, developed a very powerful instinct: belong, or else. So, even though we don't face saber-toothed tigers anymore, that ancient wiring is still in our heads. Our brains are constantly looking for signals that we belong. When we act or think in a way that's different from the group, that old instinct can kick in. It sends us a warning signal, like, watch out, you might be rejected. This warning often shows up as that uncomfortable feeling, that feeling of being wrong. Society also plays a part. We grow up learning unspoken rules about how people should be. These aren't written down anywhere, but we pick them up from our families, our friends, television shows, and social media. These rules tell us what's considered normal, or cool, or acceptable. Maybe it's a certain kind of music everyone listens to, or a way people dress, or even how they react to things. If you like something different, or you don't react the same way, you might feel like you're breaking one of these unspoken rules. And breaking rules, even unwritten ones, can make us feel like we're doing something wrong. Think about it this way. Imagine a big school of fish swimming together. They all move in the same direction, at the same speed. It looks really smooth, right? That's because moving together keeps them safe from bigger fish. Now imagine one fish suddenly decides to swim the other way. It would stick out. It might feel exposed and vulnerable. Our brains sometimes act like that lone fish, feeling exposed when we don't move with the school of human society. This can help you understand why we want to conform, to be like others, even if we don't realize it. It's a deep-seated desire for safety and acceptance. But here's what's truly important to remember. That feeling of being wrong, for being different, it's just an old echo. Today, being different isn't a threat. In fact, it's what makes each person unique and special. The world needs all kinds of people, with all kinds of thoughts, hobbies, and dreams. Learning that this uncomfortable feeling is a normal part of being human, a leftover from a different time, can actually set you free. It helps you understand that your value isn't about fitting in perfectly, but about truly being yourself. And that, in itself, is a kind of strength. The idea that happiness is a prize. Have you ever thought, I'll be happy when? Maybe it's, I'll be happy when I get that new game, or I'll be happy when I get an A on this test. Or maybe, I'll be happy when I'm older, or when I have more friends, or when I look a certain way. It's a common thought, almost like a whisper in our minds, telling us that happiness is waiting for us, just beyond the next finish line. But here's the thing. Society often trains us to see happiness not as something we can experience in our daily lives, but as a prize, like a gold medal you win, or a big gift you receive after working incredibly hard. It teaches us that true joy is something you earn, something that comes after you achieve a goal, overcome a challenge, or acquire something new. It sets up happiness as a reward for being good enough or successful enough. This idea has deep roots. For a long time, in many cultures, the good life was often linked to material wealth or high status. People believed that if you worked hard, gained power, or collected many possessions, then happiness would naturally follow. Think about old stories or fables. The hero always gets the treasure and lives happily ever after. It sounds nice, right? But it plants a powerful seed in our minds. Happiness isn't here now. It's something you have to get. Look at commercials you see on television or online. They rarely show someone just being happy while doing nothing special. Instead, they show people incredibly happy, unquote, after buying a new phone, driving a fancy car, or eating a specific brand of cereal. The message is clear. Buy this, do this, achieve this, and then you will be happy. It makes happiness seem like a thing you can buy off a shelf or a feeling that only unlocks when you reach a certain level. Consider what happens in your own life. You might study really hard for a test, telling yourself, if I get an A, I'll be so happy. And when you do get that A, there's a burst of joy. You feel great. But how long does that intense feeling last? A few hours? A day? What about the next test or the next project? Soon, that happiness fades, and we're back to thinking, okay, what's the next thing I need to do to feel happy again? Our brains are actually really good at getting used to things. This is sometimes called hedonic adaptation. But what it means simply is that the big rush of joy we feel from getting something new or achieving a goal can fade surprisingly fast. The new game becomes just a game. The A on the test is quickly followed by the pressure of the next assignment. This cycle can leave us constantly chasing the next prize, always looking for the next thing that will make us happy. Instead of finding joy in the current moment, we're on a treadmill, running towards a prize that keeps moving further away. So here's what it comes down to. When we view happiness as a prize, we often miss out on the smaller, quieter joys that are all around us, every single day. We become so focused on the destination that we forget to notice the beauty of the journey. The laugh with a friend, the warmth of the sun, the comfort of a good book, the satisfaction of learning something new. These aren't prizes. They're just moments. Happiness isn't just about winning something big or getting something new. It's not something that only exists in the future, waiting for us to earn it. Sometimes, the deepest and most lasting happiness comes from simply being present, noticing the good in what is right now, without needing to earn it or wait for it. It's not a destination. It can be the path itself. What happens when you always say yes? Have you ever found yourself saying yes to something, even when deep down you really wanted to say no? Maybe it was helping a friend move a heavy box when you were already tired, or agreeing to join another school club when your schedule was packed. That feeling, that quiet nudge inside you, is important. When we always say yes, we're often trying to be helpful. We want to be liked. We don't want to disappoint anyone. But here's the thing. Always saying yes means we slowly start to lose parts of ourselves. We give away our time, our energy, even our peace, without getting much back. It's like pouring water from your own cup into everyone else's until your cup is empty. For a long, long time in many cultures, being part of a group was everything. Being polite, being agreeable, helping your neighbors, these were super important. It helped communities survive. And that's still true in some ways. We are social beings. But somewhere along the way, we started to mix up being kind with being a doormat. We started to think saying no was rude or selfish. But it's not always like that. Sometimes, saying no is the kindest thing you can do for yourself. Think of it like a garden. Your time, your energy, your thoughts, they are like the soil, the water, and the sunlight. If you plant too many seeds, if you say yes to every single request, you spread your resources too thin. One plant might be pulling water from another. Soon, nothing grows as strong as it should. The flowers might be small. The vegetables might not ripen. It's the same with you. If you're always saying yes, you don't have enough sunlight or water for your own growth. You might feel tired, stressed, or like you're not doing anything well, even though you're working really hard. When you say yes to everyone else, you're often saying no to yourself. You say no to quiet time, to pursuing your own hobbies, to just resting. You might feel like you're always busy, always rushing, but never really doing what you want to do. This can lead to feeling really tired, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. It's called burnout. You start to feel resentful towards people, even though they might not even realize how much they're asking of you. And slowly, you might lose a sense of who you are and what truly matters to you, because you're always reacting to others instead of choosing your own path. Learning to say no isn't about being mean or selfish. It's about drawing a line. It's about protecting your own well-being, your own peace. It's about making sure your cup isn't empty, so you actually have something real to give when you truly want to. Imagine a tree with deep, strong roots. It can stand firm in a storm because it has stability. Your ability to say no is like those roots. It gives you strength and stability. It allows you to choose what you pour your valuable energy into, rather than letting it be drained away. It lets you be present for the things and people that truly nourish you. And that choice, that quiet strength, is a powerful step towards building a life that feels more balanced, more real, and ultimately, more truly happy for you. The problem with good vibes only. Have you ever heard someone say, good vibes only? Maybe you've seen it on a t-shirt, a sticker, or in a social media post. It sounds really positive, doesn't it? It suggests that we should only let good, happy, cheerful feelings into our lives. It's like a rule. Only happiness allowed. No sadness, no anger, no worry. On the surface, that sounds like a great way to live. Who wouldn't want to feel good all the time? But here's the thing. This idea, while it sounds nice, can actually be one of the ways society accidentally trains us to be unhappy. When people say good vibes only, they often mean well. They want to encourage happiness and positivity. But sometimes, what it really does is tell us that certain feelings are bad and should be avoided or hidden. It creates this pressure to always appear happy, even when we're not. Imagine you're feeling really down about something. Maybe a tough test didn't go well, or a friend said something hurtful. If everyone around you is always saying good vibes only, you might feel like you can't talk about how you really feel. You might bottle up your sadness or anger because you think those feelings aren't welcome. And that's where the problem begins. This idea of only accepting good feelings isn't entirely new. For hundreds of years, philosophers and thinkers have explored how to find inner peace and happiness. Some ancient groups, like the Stoics, believed in controlling your reactions to things, not letting outside events shake your calm. They thought you could choose how you felt. But even they knew that feelings exist. Their goal was understanding and managing, not pretending those feelings weren't there at all. Today, the good vibes only idea often takes this a step further, sometimes pushing us to just ignore or deny any feeling that isn't joyful. It turns into a kind of emotional bypass, where we try to skip over the difficult parts of life rather than learning from them. Think of it like this. Your body has many different kinds of feelings, not just happy ones. If you touch something hot, you feel pain. That pain isn't a bad vibe in itself. It's a signal. It tells you to pull your hand away, to protect yourself. If you ignored the pain and said good vibes only to your hand, you'd get seriously hurt. Or imagine you're playing a video game and you keep losing. You might feel frustrated or even a little angry. Those feelings are signals too. They tell you to try a different strategy, to practice more, or maybe to take a break. If you just pretended you were happy and kept doing the same thing, you'd never get better at the game. Our emotions work in a similar way. Sadness can be a signal that we need comfort or time to heal. Anger can signal that a boundary has been crossed or that something isn't fair. Fear can warn us of danger or help us prepare. These aren't bad feelings to get rid of. They are important messages from inside us. When we are forced to push these feelings away, when we act like they don't exist because we're supposed to have good vibes only, we lose out on those messages. We miss the chance to understand ourselves better, to learn from our experiences, and to grow stronger. So the problem with good vibes only isn't that it encourages happiness. Happiness is wonderful. The problem is that it often teaches us to reject a whole range of human emotions. It can make us feel ashamed or guilty for being sad or angry or worried. But true well-being isn't about pretending everything is fine all the time. It's about being brave enough to feel all your feelings, to listen to what they're trying to tell you, and to know that it's okay to not be okay sometimes. When we accept all our feelings, even the tough ones, we become more whole, more resilient, and ultimately more genuinely at peace with ourselves. This way, we don't just chase fleeting good vibes. We build a deeper, more lasting sense of well-being that can handle whatever life brings. Getting stuck in the comparison game. Have you ever scrolled through your phone, looking at what your friends are doing, seeing their perfect photos, or hearing about their cool experiences? And then a small, quiet feeling creeps in. Maybe it's a whisper that says, "Why isn't my life like that?" Or, "Everyone else seems to have it all figured out." That feeling, that moment of measuring your life against someone else's, is how we often get stuck in what we call the comparison game. Here's the thing about this game. It's not new. Humans have been doing this for a very, very long time. Think about it. Even thousands of years ago, people probably looked at their neighbor's cave, or their neighbor's hunting skills, or the size of their crops, and felt a pang of envy or a desire to be better. It's a natural part of being human to notice differences. We're wired to look around, to see how we fit in, and sometimes to figure out where we stand in the group. Our brains are always trying to make sense of the world, and part of that is comparing, but society, especially today, has turned this natural tendency into a powerful force that often pushes us towards unhappiness. We are surrounded by images and stories that show us what we should be like, what we should have, or what success looks like. These messages come from everywhere. Television shows, movies, advertisements, and yes, especially social media. Think of social media as a giant highlight reel. When you look at someone's profile, you're not seeing their whole life. You're seeing the best parts, the moments they chose to share, because they were happy, exciting, or looked perfect. You see the vacation photo, but not the stress of planning the trip. You see the good grade they posted, but not the hours of studying or the frustration of getting stuck on a problem. You see the perfect outfit, but not the closet full of clothes they don't wear, or the times they felt insecure. Everyone is essentially showing their A game, their most polished self. Now, imagine you're watching all these highlight reels, one after another, all day long. And then you look at your own life. You see your everyday moments, the struggles, the boring parts, the parts that aren't picture perfect. And suddenly, your own ordinary life can feel less. It can feel like you're somehow behind, or not doing enough, or not as happy, or not as smart, or not as popular as everyone else. This is where the comparison game really traps us. It tricks us into believing that our own worth, our own happiness, depends on how we stack up against others. It tells us we need to be better, or have more, to feel okay. And that's why it matters. This constant measuring can make us feel anxious, jealous, or simply not good enough. It pulls us away from appreciating what we do, have, and who we are. It focuses our minds on what's missing, rather than on all the good things already present in our own unique lives. But here's a different way to think about it. Imagine a garden. Every flower in that garden is beautiful in its own way. A rose doesn't compare itself to a sunflower and think it's not tall enough. A daisy doesn't wish it had the deep colors of a tulip. Each flower simply grows, blooms, and shares its unique beauty. Our lives are a bit like that garden. We each have our own path, our own strengths, our own pace, and our own season to bloom. There's no single finish line everyone has to cross in the exact same way. True contentment, a deep sense of happiness, doesn't come from being like someone else, or from having what they have. It comes from understanding and appreciating the unique person you already are, and from tending to your own growth. It's about watering your own garden, rather than constantly checking if your neighbor's flowers are bigger. The myth of the perfect family. Have you ever scrolled through social media or watched a television show and seen a family that just seems perfect? Everyone smiling, no one arguing, everything always goes right. Maybe they have a beautiful house, always go on amazing vacations, or just seem to understand each other without saying a word. It feels like they have all the answers, and every day is a sunny, happy picture. But here's the thing. That idea of the perfect family is mostly a story we tell ourselves, or one that society shows us. It's a myth, not real life. Think about it. We are constantly shown images of families that are always happy, always together, always solving their problems with a neat little bow at the end. From old television shows where dads always knew best and moms baked cookies, to today's filtered photos on social media where every moment looks like a magazine cover. This isn't how families actually work. This idea, this myth, makes us believe that our own families should be just like those pictures we see. And if they aren't, it can make us feel like something is wrong with us or with our family. For a long time, especially after big difficult periods in history, like wars, societies wanted to create a feeling of stability and happiness. So, movies and advertising started showing these ideal families. They weren't showing reality. They were showing an ideal, a dream. They were saying, this is what a good family looks like. And this image stuck. It became the default setting in our minds for what a family should be. It's not a bad idea to want happiness, but it becomes a problem when we judge our real, messy, loud, sometimes quiet, sometimes frustrating, sometimes wonderful families against this impossible ideal. Here's an example. Imagine a social media post showing a family laughing around a dinner table, looking absolutely joyful. The food is perfect, everyone's perfectly dressed, and the lighting is just right. What that picture doesn't show is that maybe just 5 minutes before, someone spilled a drink. A brother and sister had a big fight over a video game, and the parents were stressed about dinner being late. The photo is a single, polished moment, not the whole, messy, real story. And our lives, our families, are made of all those unphotographed, real moments. Even in science, like in psychology, we learn that humans are complex. We have good days and bad days. We have different personalities. So, how could a group of complex people living together every day always be perfectly harmonious? It's like expecting a garden to always have flowers blooming, without ever needing water, or weeding, or dealing with bugs. A real garden, like a real family, has seasons of growth, quiet times, challenges, and lots of different parts working together. So, here's what it comes down to. True happiness in a family isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about accepting that families are made of people who are trying their best, who make mistakes, who sometimes disagree, but who can also share incredible love and support. It's okay if your family isn't like the ones in the movies or on social media. In fact, it's a good thing, because real connection, real understanding, and real love grow in the messy, imperfect, honest space where everyone can just be themselves. It's about finding the beauty in the ordinary, the sometimes difficult, and the truly unique ways your family works. Why resting feels like wasting time. Have you ever just sat down, maybe scrolled on your phone, or stared out the window, and felt this little voice in your head saying, you should be doing something? Maybe it's homework, or chores, or practicing a skill. But even when you're tired, sometimes just resting feels wrong. Like you're wasting valuable time that could be used for something productive. This feeling, this quiet guilt about simply existing, is one of the deep ways society trains us to be unhappy. Here's the thing. Our modern world often tells us that our worth comes from what we do, how much we achieve, or how busy we are. Resting isn't seen as an achievement. It's seen as a pause in productivity, or worse, a sign of laziness. We're taught to chase constant movement, constant doing. If you're not working, studying, exercising, or actively engaging with something, then what are you even doing? This mindset makes it hard to simply be. For a long, long time, human life moved with the sun and the seasons. There were natural rhythms of hard work and deep rest. People worked hard in the fields, but they also had periods of less activity, times for storytelling, for community, for simply being present. But then, about 200 years ago, things began to change in a big way. The Industrial Revolution started, and factories began to run machines all day and all night. People started working in these factories, and their time became measured in hours, not just in the natural light of the day. The idea that time is money became a powerful thought, shaping how we see every single moment. Every hour felt like it had to be used for something, for making money, for producing, for learning, for improving. The old wisdom about taking time to simply be started to fade away. Think about your phone for a moment. If you use it all day, watching videos, playing games, texting friends, what happens? The battery drains. If you don't plug it in, it dies. Your mind and body are a lot like that battery. When you're constantly on, at school, doing homework, sports, chores, social media, you're draining your energy. Resting isn't just about sleeping. It's about unplugging. It's about letting your brain sort things out without new information flooding in. It's when your body repairs itself. Consider an athlete, like a basketball player. The best players don't train on the court 24/7. They have rest days. They have recovery periods. Why? Because that's when their muscles actually grow stronger. That's when their bodies heal from the stress of practice. Without that rest, they would quickly burn out, get injured, and perform poorly. Your brain and your entire self work the same way. When you take time to rest, your brain consolidates memories, solves problems in the background, and prepares you for new learning. Your body repairs, recharges, and gets ready for the next day. So, this feeling of guilt about resting, this idea that it's a waste, is a trick. It's a sign of how society has taught us to measure ourselves by how much we produce, not by how well we live or how truly rested and happy we are. Resting isn't a luxury. It's a fundamental human need. It's the time we heal, we imagine, we process our thoughts. It's when we reconnect with ourselves, with who we are, not just what we do. To embrace rest, to allow ourselves to simply be, is a quiet act of kindness to ourselves and a step towards a more peaceful way of living. The noise of constant information. Have you ever felt like your brain is just full? Like there's so much coming at you from every direction, all the time, that it's hard to focus on just one thing. Think about your phone, your tablet, the television, the ads you see everywhere. This endless stream of messages, pictures, sounds, and headlines is what we call the noise of constant information. It's like living inside a giant, busy marketplace that never closes, where everyone is shouting for your attention at once. Here's the thing. Our society has gotten really good at sending us information. From the moment you wake up, your phone might buzz with notifications. You check social media, and there are countless posts from friends, celebrities, news outlets. You watch a video, and another one pops up right after. You walk down the street, and there are huge billboards. You're playing a game, and ads interrupt. This isn't just about learning new facts. It's about a constant, ongoing rush of data that our brains are trying to process. For most of human history, information was rare and precious. People lived in small communities. News traveled slowly, often by word of mouth. Knowledge was passed down from elders, or found in a few carefully written books. Imagine a time when you had to wait weeks, or even months, to hear what was happening in another town. Back then, silence was common. Quiet thought was a normal part of life. Our brains developed in a world that was mostly calm and less demanding in terms of constant input. But now, it's completely different. Our minds are like a small boat trying to navigate a huge, stormy ocean of data. There's so much to see, so much to hear, so much to react to. Think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to have a serious conversation with a friend, but around you, 10 different radios are playing loud music. People are talking on their phones, and a television is blaring. How well could you hear your friend? How easy would it be to think clearly? That's what our minds often experience. This constant noise can make us unhappy in a few ways. First, it makes us compare ourselves to others. When you see perfectly edited photos of people's lives online, it's easy to feel like your own life isn't as good, or that you're missing out. This feeling is called FOMO, fear of missing out. It's like everyone else is at a party you weren't invited to, even if that party isn't real. Second, the sheer volume of information can be exhausting. Our brains aren't designed to be on all the time, processing so much. It's like trying to run a marathon every single day without rest. You get tired, cranky, and overwhelmed. Sometimes, this leads to what feels like brain fog, where it's hard to focus, remember things, or make decisions. When your brain is constantly busy reacting to outside noise, it has less energy for deep thought, creativity, or simply enjoying the moment. And finally, this noise can make us feel anxious. There's always another breaking news story, another crisis, another opinion. It can make the world seem scarier or more complicated than it is. We might feel like we have to know everything, respond to everything, and keep up with everyone. But trying to do all that is impossible, and failing to do so can lead to feelings of inadequacy or stress. So, what does this all mean for us? It means understanding that much of the unhappiness we feel might not come from within us, but from the never-ending stream of information that society sends our way. It's a gentle reminder that sometimes the kindest thing we can do for ourselves is to turn down the volume, to step away from the endless noise, and to find a quiet space for our minds to simply be, because true peace often starts in the silence. Believing everyone else has it figured out. Have you ever looked around, maybe in class or scrolling through your phone, and felt like everyone else just gets it? Like they have this secret map to life, and you're the only one still trying to find the starting line? It's a quiet feeling, sometimes, but it can weigh you down. This idea that everyone else seems to have their grades, their friendships, their future, all perfectly sorted out, while you're still trying to figure out what's for dinner. This feeling, this belief that others have everything figured out, is a common way society can make us feel not good enough. It's like we're comparing our messy, inside thoughts and feelings to other people's carefully polished outside appearances. And that's a comparison we can never win, because we only ever see what others want us to see, or what they choose to show. Here's the thing. This isn't a new problem. Humans have always compared themselves to others. Long ago, people might have looked at the strongest hunter or the wisest elder and thought, wow, they know everything. They probably didn't see the hunter's struggles or the elder's doubts. For centuries, poets and thinkers have written about how we often feel alone in our struggles, assuming everyone else is gliding through life with ease. Even way back, people worried about keeping up with the Joneses, trying to have the same nice things or perfect lives as their neighbors. What's changed now is how much we see. With social media, it's not just your neighbors. It's practically the entire world. Think about your social media feed. What do you usually see? Perfect smiles, amazing trips, people looking like they're always having the best time, or succeeding at everything. But here's the problem. You're only seeing the highlight reel. No one posts their struggles, their bad hair days, or when they get a low grade on a test. They show the best parts, the successful parts, which makes it seem like their whole life is perfect. And that can make your own life feel a little less shiny, a little less put together in comparison. It's the same in school. Maybe there's a classmate who always seems to raise their hand first, or gets amazing grades, or seems super confident. It's easy to think, wow, they must be so smart. They understand everything. I wish I was like that. But here's what you don't see. Maybe they studied for hours. Maybe they were super nervous but spoke up anyway. Or maybe they struggle with other subjects you don't see. Or perhaps they have worries and doubts just like you, but they're very good at hiding them. Many grown-ups, even very successful ones, sometimes feel like they're just guessing a lot of the time, and that at any moment someone will find out they don't actually know everything. It's a feeling called imposter syndrome. And it shows that even people who seem to have it all together are often just figuring things out as they go. This constant comparison, this belief that everyone else has the answers, makes us unhappy because it sets an impossible standard. It makes us feel like we always have to pretend, to hide our confusion or our struggles, so we don't look less than. It can make you feel alone, thinking you're the only one who doesn't have it all figured out. It can stop you from asking questions, from trying new things where you might fail, or from admitting when you need help. The truth is, no one has life completely figured out. Not your teachers, not your parents, not even the people you see on television who seem to have it all. Everyone is on their own path, learning as they go. We are all just trying our best, making mistakes, and growing. And that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's how we learn. The pressure to pretend you have it all together when you really don't can weigh you down and make you feel constantly anxious. But when you let go of the idea that everyone else has a secret manual, you open yourself up to being real. You allow yourself to be human, to make mistakes, to ask questions, and to find your own answers. And that, truly, is the path to feeling more at peace, and less like you're constantly chasing something perfect that doesn't exist. The pressure to always be productive. Have you ever felt like you always need to be doing something? Like if you're just sitting still, watching a cloud, or staring out the window, you're somehow wasting time? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? This idea that every minute has to be filled with work, with learning, with making progress. This is the pressure to always be productive, and it's something society teaches us without us even realizing it. Here's the thing. Being productive means creating something, doing something useful, or getting things done. And on its own, that sounds good. We learn in school to finish our homework, to study for tests, to participate in class. At home, we might help with chores or work on a hobby. But what happens when that idea gets stretched too far? What happens when it starts to feel like just existing, just being, isn't enough? For a long time, especially over the last few hundred years, our world started to change. Factories began to hum with machines, and people moved from farms to cities to work in these places. Time became very important. Every hour a machine ran, it made something. Every hour a worker worked, they earned money. So, the idea grew that time equals money, and that time spent not working or producing was time wasted. This way of thinking slowly seeped into everything, not just factories. It became about how we measure our own value. Are we busy enough? Are we achieving enough? Think about it this way. Imagine a phone that's always plugged in, always charging, always running apps, never turning off. After a while, that phone would get really hot. Its battery would wear out fast. It might even crash. That's a little like us when we constantly try to be productive. Our brains and bodies are not designed to be on all the time. They need breaks. They need to recharge. Just like that phone, we need moments to unplug and cool down. We see this pressure everywhere. On social media, people often post about their busy lives, their achievements, their packed schedules. You might see friends involved in every club, taking extra classes, volunteering, and working a part-time job. And that's great if they truly enjoy it. But sometimes, seeing all that activity makes us feel like we should be doing more, even if we're already stretched thin. It makes us feel guilty for wanting to just relax, play a game, or simply do nothing at all. This constant push to be busy, to always be doing something, can sneakily make us unhappy. When we tie our worth to how much we produce, we start to believe that if we're not busy, we're not good enough. We might skip sleep, ignore friends, or forget about things we enjoy, all to keep up with the idea of being productive. But this can lead to stress, feeling burnt out, and even feeling lonely. We forget that sometimes the most valuable thing we can do is just breathe. So, here's a thought to carry with you. Your worth is not measured by how much you do, or how busy your schedule is. You are valuable just for being you. Allowing yourself time to rest, to daydream, to just be, is not a waste. It's how your mind processes things, how your body heals, and how you grow as a person. The world might whisper that you need to do more, but true happiness often comes from knowing when to simply be still. not being allowed to feel angry. Have you ever felt a surge of heat, a tightening in your chest, because something just wasn't fair? Maybe someone broke a promise, or you were treated wrongly. And then maybe an adult or a friend told you, "Don't be angry," or "Calm down, there's no need to be mad." It's a common thing we hear, isn't it? As if anger is some switch we can just turn off, or something we should never feel at all. But here's the thing. Anger is a powerful human emotion. It's part of being alive. Imagine emotions are like different kinds of weather. Joy is sunshine. Sadness is a drizzle. And anger? Anger is like a thunderstorm. It's loud, it's strong, and it can feel a bit scary sometimes. But just like a storm clears the air, anger, when understood, can clear things up for us. It tells us when our boundaries have been crossed. It signals that something important to us has been threatened or treated unfairly. For a long time, society has often taught us that anger is a bad emotion, especially for kids. We're often told to be polite, to be quiet, to not make a fuss. Girls, especially, are sometimes taught that being angry makes them unladylike or mean. Boys might be told that showing anger is the only way to be strong, or that crying is weak. So they might express sadness as anger instead. This makes it confusing. It sends a message that certain feelings are just not okay. Think about old stories or even just how adults used to talk. Many cultures, for a very long time, have valued calmness and control above all else. Philosophers from ancient Greece, like the Stoics, believed that true wisdom came from not letting strong emotions, like anger, control you. They had a point that being controlled by anger isn't good. But over time, this idea got twisted. It became less about managing anger wisely and more about stuffing it down completely. It became about pretending you don't feel it at all. This kind of teaching, over hundreds of years, has shaped how we view anger today. It became a mark of good behavior to simply not show anger, no matter what. But when we bottle up that feeling, it doesn't just disappear. Think of it like this. Your body and mind are a car. Your emotions are like the dashboard lights. When the check engine light comes on, it's not a bad light. It's an information light. It's telling you something needs attention. Maybe the oil is low, or there's a problem with the brakes. If you cover up that light with tape, the problem doesn't go away. In fact, it might get much worse. The car might break down completely. Anger is often our check engine light. When you feel it, it's usually because something is wrong. Maybe someone disrespected you. Maybe something was unfair at school. Maybe a friend let you down. That feeling of anger is a signal. It's saying, "Hey, pay attention. Something here isn't right for me." When we are told not to feel angry, or we're shamed for it, we learn to ignore that signal. We learn to tape over the check engine light. We might smile when we're fuming inside. We might say it's fine when it's really not. But the underlying issue doesn't magically vanish. Instead, that bottled up anger can start to leak out in other ways. Maybe we become anxious, or we get headaches. Maybe we suddenly explode over something small later on because all those other feelings were never dealt with. So, here's what I found. Anger isn't good or bad. It simply is. It's a natural part of being human. The problem isn't the feeling itself, but what we do with it. Society often trains us to feel unhappy by telling us to ignore or suppress parts of ourselves, like anger, instead of teaching us how to understand and express these feelings in a healthy way. It's like learning to ride a bike. You don't just not fall. You learn how to balance, how to steer, how to use the brakes. You learn how to pick yourself up when you do fall. The goal isn't to never feel angry, but to learn what your anger is trying to tell you, to understand its message, and then to figure out a safe and respectful way to respond. When we're allowed to feel and explore all our emotions, even the tough ones like anger, we understand ourselves better. And understanding ourselves is a big step towards finding real happiness. It means we don't have to carry around hidden burdens, pretending everything is okay when it's not. It means we can learn to stand up for ourselves and what's right, using our emotions as guides, not as things to fear or hide. The idea that fun has to be big, Have you ever scrolled through social media and seen pictures of huge parties, amazing vacations, or expensive new gadgets? It often feels like everyone else is living a movie, filled with grand adventures and constant excitement. And then, maybe, you look at your own day reading a book, playing a board game, or just hanging out with family and it feels less. It might even feel like it's not really fun at all, because it's not big enough. Here's the thing. Society often quietly teaches us that real fun has to be enormous. It tells us that happiness comes from grand experiences, expensive purchases, or being part of something super hyped up. Think about how many advertisements show people laughing wildly on roller coasters, skydiving, or sailing on fancy yachts. They rarely show someone happily tending a small garden, or drawing quietly in a notebook, or just sitting and watching the rain. These images, over time, can shape what we think fun looks like. We start to believe that unless something is epic, it doesn't count. This idea isn't new, but it's gotten much stronger lately. For a long time, happiness was often found in simpler, everyday moments. People might gather for a quiet evening of stories, or a walk through the woods, or making something with their hands. These were seen as perfectly good ways to feel joy. But over the last century or so, as our world got faster and we started buying more things, the idea of bigger is better crept into our understanding of happiness. Now, when we see celebrities on huge stages or our friends on amazing trips, it's easy to feel like our own normal life isn't quite measuring up. And here's where it can make us unhappy. When we only expect huge, flashy fun, we become blind to all the smaller, everyday joys that are actually around us all the time. Imagine a kid who only thinks fun means a trip to a huge amusement park. They might miss the quiet joy of finding a cool rock on a walk, or the satisfying feeling of building something with Legos, or the simple laughter shared with a friend over a silly joke. Because they're waiting for the big fun, they don't even notice the small bits of happiness sparkling all around them every single day. It's like waiting for a giant fireworks display and missing the beauty of a single firefly. This way of thinking can also make us feel like we always need more. We might save up for that big concert, or constantly wish for a fancy new phone, believing that that is where happiness truly lies. And when we finally get it, the feeling can be great for a moment, but it often fades quickly. Then we're back to looking for the next big thing, always chasing a feeling that seems to be just out of reach. We can get stuck in a cycle of wanting, waiting, and then feeling let down. But here's what's important to remember. Happiness isn't always a thunderclap. Often, it's a whisper. It's in the quiet satisfaction of finishing a tough puzzle, the warmth of a good conversation, the comfort of a pet curled up beside you. These moments might not make exciting social media posts, but they are real, deep, and true sources of joy. They don't cost a lot of money, and they don't require huge plans. They just require us to notice them. So, maybe true happiness isn't about chasing the biggest, brightest lights. Maybe it's about learning to see the glow in the everyday things, the small, gentle sparks that are always there if we just open our eyes and our hearts to them. It's about understanding that a quiet afternoon with a good book can be just as fulfilling, sometimes even more so, than the loudest party. And realizing this can free us from the constant pressure to be big all the time, allowing us to find peace and happiness in the ordinary, beautiful flow of life. Why we don't trust our own choices. Have you ever made a decision, felt good about it, then started to wonder if it was the right one? Like picking a movie you really want to see, but then your friends say it looks boring, and suddenly you're not so sure anymore. Or choosing an outfit you love, but then you scroll through social media and see everyone wearing something totally different, and you feel like you picked wrong. This feeling, this doubt in your own gut, is something many of us deal with. It's a quiet voice in our heads that whispers, "Are you sure about that?" And sometimes, society helps that whisper grow into a loud shout. Here's the thing. From a very young age, we are taught to look outside ourselves for answers. Think about it. In school, you get a problem, and there's usually one correct answer in the back of the book, or the teacher tells you if you got it right or wrong. At home, maybe your parents guide you to make certain choices because they know what's best. This isn't bad, not at all. It's how we learn to navigate the world and stay safe. But over time, this habit of looking for external approval can make our own inner compass feel a bit rusty. For a long, long time in history, people followed what their community did, or they listened to leaders, elders, or religious figures. It made sense because survival often depended on sticking together and doing things the proven way. But as the world changed, and we started celebrating individual thought and unique paths, something else happened. We gained the freedom to choose, but we also got flooded with more and more ideas about what a good choice looks like from every direction. Here's an example. Think about social media. You spend time creating a post or picking a picture that you really like. You feel good about it. You hit share. Then what happens? You wait for the likes, the comments, the shares. If your post doesn't get as much attention as you hoped, or if someone leaves a negative comment, suddenly that picture you loved might seem less good. You might even take it down. You start to think, maybe my taste isn't good enough. Or, I should have picked something else. Your own opinion, which was strong just moments before, crumbles because of what others think. This happens in bigger ways too. Maybe you feel a pull toward a certain hobby or a different kind of school, but your friends are all going a certain way, or your family expects something else. So, you push your own feeling down. You tell yourself, they must know better, or it's easier to just go with the flow. And that's how it works. The more we ignore our own quiet instincts and listen to the louder voices around us, whether those voices are friends, family, trends, or ads, the harder it becomes to trust ourselves. Our own sense of what's right or good for us gets weaker. We start to believe that others have the answers for our lives, not us. But here's the quiet truth. No one knows your heart, your dreams, or your deepest feelings better than you do. Yes, it's good to listen to wise advice, and it's important to consider other people's feelings. But deep down, there's a part of you that knows what brings you joy, what feels right, and what truly makes you happy. Learning to listen to that inner wisdom, to nurture it, even when it goes against the current, is a powerful step toward a life that truly belongs to you. It's about finding your own path, not just walking down the one others have laid out. The race to get ahead. Have you ever felt like you're constantly trying to catch up, even when you're not sure what you're chasing? It's a strange feeling. Like everyone around you is running a secret race, and you're expected to join in, running faster and faster. This feeling, this unseen competition, is often called the race to get ahead. It's not a literal race on a track. Instead, it's a deep-seated idea in our society. It's the idea that to be successful, to be happy, or even just to be okay, you must always be striving for more. More money, a better job, higher grades, more followers, cooler things, or even just looking a certain way. It's about moving up, getting ahead of others, or at least making sure you don't fall behind. This idea didn't just appear out of nowhere. For a long time, even centuries ago, people have compared themselves to others. Back in the day, maybe it was about who had the most fertile land or the biggest flock of sheep. But as the world changed, especially after big shifts like the Industrial Revolution where factories became common, the focus moved more to individual wealth and possessions. Society started to reward people who produced a lot, who earned a lot, and who acquired a lot. This built a system where personal progress was often measured by how much you owned or what title you held. And here's the thing. In our modern world, with social media showing us carefully chosen highlights of everyone else's lives, this feeling of needing to get ahead has grown incredibly strong. We see pictures of amazing vacations, perfect grades, cool new gadgets, or friends getting into certain groups, and it can feel like a constant push. It's like everyone else is showing off their finish line, and you're still on the starting block, or maybe just feeling stuck on a treadmill. Think about a hamster running on its wheel. It spins its little legs super fast, putting in so much effort. It's moving, but it's not really going anywhere new. It stays in the same place. Sometimes, our lives can start to feel like that hamster wheel when we're caught in the race to get ahead. We work hard, we study, we try to achieve, always looking for the next thing. We reach one goal, and almost immediately, society whispers that we need another one, an even bigger one. You get good grades, but then you need to get into a top college. You get a good job, but then you need a promotion. You buy something nice, but then there's a newer, better version. This constant chase can be exhausting. It can make us feel like we're never good enough, because there's always someone who seems to have more, or do more, or be more. It fills us with worry about falling behind, and it can steal our joy in the present moment. We become so focused on what's next, what we lack, or what others have, that we forget to appreciate what we do have, or how far we've already come. This endless comparison and striving can create a quiet, persistent unhappiness, a feeling of discontent that lingers beneath the surface, even when we achieve things we thought would make us happy. So, what if the real win isn't about being first, or having the most? What if true happiness isn't found in constantly trying to get ahead, but in finding our own path, at our own pace? Maybe the real finish line isn't somewhere far off, ahead of everyone else, but right here, right now, when we choose to step off the hamster wheel and simply be present with who we are and what we have. It's a quiet thought, but it holds a lot of power. When social media becomes your report card, have you ever felt that nervous flutter in your stomach before a big test, or when waiting for your report card to come out? That moment when you find out how you did, how you measure up? Now, imagine if your whole life felt like it was constantly being graded, all the time, for everyone to see. That's what can happen when social media becomes your report card. Here's the thing. On social media, likes, comments, and follower counts can start to feel like grades. Each post, each photo, each video you share can feel like you're turning in an assignment. And then you wait. Will it get an A with lots of likes and positive comments? Or will it feel like a C, or worse, an F, with almost no one noticing, or even negative reactions? This constant checking, this waiting for validation, can quietly start to train us to be unhappy. For a very long time, humans have cared about what other people think. It's part of how we learn, how we fit in. In ancient times, people might have gained respect or status through their skills, their bravery, or their generosity within their village or tribe. Their report card was how their neighbors treated them face to face. It was slower, more personal, and usually involved a small group of people who knew you well. But now, our village is the entire world, or at least everyone we're connected to online. And the feedback is instant, visible, and sometimes brutal. It's like standing on a stage, but instead of a few friends in the audience, there are millions of strangers, and they all have scorecards they're holding up for your performance. This can make you feel like you always have to be performing, always have to look perfect, or always have to have the most exciting life. Think about a time you worked really hard on something, maybe a piece of art or a school project. You put your heart into it. Now imagine you posted it online, and the only feedback you got was a number of likes. If that number was low, would you suddenly feel like your hard work wasn't good enough? Would it make you doubt your talent? This is how social media can trick our brains. It takes our true effort and value and reduces it to a simple, often misleading score. The problem is, social media isn't designed to measure your true worth. It measures attention, popularity, and how well you fit into certain trends. It doesn't see your kindness, your deep thoughts, your quiet moments of growth, or the effort you put into being a good friend. It doesn't grade you on your character or your true happiness. Instead, it pushes us to constantly compare our behind-the-scenes reality to everyone else's highlight reels. And that's a game you can never truly win, because no one's highlight reel is their whole life. So here's what to remember. Your real value, your true report card, isn't found in any app. It's found in who you are when no one is watching, how you treat others, the lessons you learn, and the joy you find in simple moments. The real grade that matters is the one you give yourself, based on your own growth and your own peace of mind. It's a grade that doesn't need likes or comments, because it comes from inside you. And that's a score that no one else can ever change. The message that more is better. Have you ever gotten something you really, really wanted? Maybe a new video game, a cool pair of shoes, or that gadget everyone was talking about. For a little while, it felt amazing, right? But then, after a bit, that super happy feeling often fades. And soon, you might find yourself looking at the next new thing, thinking, if only I had that, then I'd be truly happy. Here's the thing. That feeling, that constant pull to want the next thing, is not an accident. It's a powerful message society sends us deep down every single day. This message whispers that more is better. It tells us that happiness, success, and even worth come from having more. More money, more clothes, a bigger house, the latest phone, more friends on social media, more accomplishments. It's like we're always climbing a ladder that has no top. We reach one rung, feel good for a moment, then immediately look up to the next one. We believe if we just get a little bit more, then we'll finally be complete, finally be truly satisfied. Think about how this idea grew. For thousands of years, people mostly worried about having enough food to eat, enough shelter to stay warm, enough tools to survive. Life was often hard, and just making it through the day was a victory. But over time, especially after big changes like the Industrial Revolution, things started to shift. Factories could make more stuff than ever before. Suddenly, instead of just surviving, people were encouraged to buy. And to make them buy, a new idea was needed. The idea that what you have isn't enough, that what you could have is always better. This idea got stronger with advertising, which constantly shows us what we don't have and how our lives would be perfect if only we did. It's like a scientific experiment, you might see. Imagine you have a certain amount of sugar, and it tastes sweet. If you add more sugar, it gets sweeter. But at some point, adding more sugar doesn't make it more sweet in a way you can truly appreciate. It just becomes too much, or your taste buds get used to it. Your brain adapts. In psychology, there's a concept called hedonic adaptation. It means that no matter how good something feels initially, winning a big prize, buying something expensive, our normal level of happiness tends to return to where it was before. We get used to the new good thing, and it stops providing the same thrill. That new phone becomes just your phone. That new pair of shoes becomes just your shoes. And then the cycle begins again, looking for the next thing to give us that fleeting boost. So, society trains us to chase this endless more. It teaches us that contentment is always just out of reach, waiting behind the next purchase, the next achievement, the next step up. It can make us feel like we're never truly enough, or that what we have is somehow lacking. But perhaps the deepest wisdom isn't in always wanting more. Maybe it's in finding a quiet kind of happiness in what is already here, in noticing the simple joys, in appreciating the people around us, and in understanding that true richness often isn't measured by how much we can gather, but by how fully we can live with what we already have. This thought can be a gentle light, guiding us away from the endless chase and towards a different, calmer kind of peace. Learning to put others first, always. Have you ever been told it's always good to put others first? Like you should always share your things, always help a friend, or always say yes when someone needs something. It's a message we hear a lot, from when we are very young. Our parents might tell us to share our toys. Our teachers encourage us to help classmates. Stories often feature heroes who sacrifice everything for others. And so, we learn that being a good person means putting other people's needs and feelings before our own. This idea has deep roots. Many ancient beliefs and philosophical ideas talk about the importance of helping your community, of being selfless. Some religions teach that true goodness comes from giving without expecting anything back, even from sacrificing your own comfort for the sake of others. This is a beautiful thought, in many ways. It speaks to our desire to connect with others, to be part of something bigger than ourselves. We want to be kind. We want to be helpful. And society often celebrates those who seem to live this way, holding them up as examples. But here's the thing. Sometimes, the message gets twisted. It starts to feel like if you don't put others first, always, then you are selfish. It makes us think that caring for yourself is wrong. And that's where the unhappiness can creep in. Imagine your energy and well-being are like a cup of water. Every time you help someone, every time you give your time or effort, you are pouring some of that water from your cup into theirs. This is a good thing. It's how we support each other. But what happens if you keep pouring and pouring without ever refilling your own cup? Eventually, your cup will be empty. You'll have nothing left to give, not even to yourself. This is what happens when society trains us to believe we must always put others first. You might find yourself saying yes to every request, even when you're tired or overwhelmed. You might spend all your time helping friends with their problems, but never have time to deal with your own. You might feel guilty for wanting to spend time alone, or for choosing an activity you enjoy over doing something someone else wants to do. When you constantly neglect your own needs, your need for rest, for quiet time, for pursuing your own interests, or even just for a moment to breathe, you start to feel drained. You might feel resentful, even though you know you're supposed to be kind. You might feel like you're losing yourself, unsure of what you truly want or need, because you're so focused on everyone else. This can lead to a quiet kind of sadness, a sense of being empty or invisible. So, while helping others is truly wonderful, it's also important to remember your own cup. It's not selfish to make sure you have enough water for yourself. In fact, it's necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup. Real kindness, lasting kindness, comes from a place of strength and wholeness. It comes from having enough in your own reserves so that when you do give, it feels good, not like a sacrifice that leaves you depleted. Learning to say no sometimes, or to take time for yourself, isn't about being selfish. It's about making sure you have the energy and spirit to truly be there for others when it matters most, and to also live a life that feels full and joyful for you.